Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Nextlander podcast. Here we go. It is a spring.
Yeah, we're still in spring.
Spring. Alex Navarro, welcome to spring. Rainy spring.
Wet spring. Damp spring.
Very wet, very
Moist.
rainy. I'll go with wet and rainy.
Are you one of those moist haters?
Nah, I don't care. I don't care. I'll say moist all day long. I was born moist, baby. Brad Shoemaker.
We all were.
Yes, it's hot and arid out here.
There you go. How's
Our
it going?
court-appointed day of the week with Brad Shoemaker.
That's right.
Yes, I get Brad on Wednesdays.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they said.
Yes, I'm in Nextlander court on Wednesdays.
I know you can't talk specifics about the case, but
Not yet.
Vibes. Things are
Vibes.
like what's a like? Do you feel like it is a vibe check-in? Do you feel like it is about
you on
hitting
schedule?
Your expectation with a court proceeding?
Yeah. Things are moving along. Things are moving. I will
It's-
definitely say, like, progress is certainly being made.
Fantastic.
I'm gonna say that's a long one.
It's a
I
long
can't wait
one,
to hear
dude.
the details of it, but
It's-
I can't even remember what you've shared or not, so I'm not going to say it here. But like, that's a long one for a case, any case,
Yeah.
not any case, but for a case that doesn't involve, let's just say, I'm going to assume a giant murder spree or something of that nature. You know?
Well, actually, I wonder if those are actually fairly short.
Oh, maybe.
It's that dire. It's like,
Probably
okay,
depends
not
on
a
the
lot
amount of evidence.
Yeah.
I don't know. My girlfriend had a coworker who got put on a 3-month trial.
Is that
So-
sequestered, or you just went every day?
I don't think so. I don't think it was sequestered. But as soon as I heard that, I started thanking my lucky stars.
We need a
Can't
better
even imagine.
system.
And
Can't
think of
even
the
imagine.
story you're going to have at the end of it.
Yeah,
Like,
it's a very interesting experience, I will say.
I just don't understand how that would work if, like, you have a job. Let's say you're an hourly worker and you have a job, and you then have to go do this thing. Yeah.
That would probably get you off of something like this.
Okay.
Because when they handed out what they called a hardship form,
Mhm.
and in this case, and in the past, I've been on trials where I think I've talked about this before. There was like that murder case I almost got put on right before we went to TGS in 2008 for Giant Bomb.
Yeah.
In that case, it was just, hey, like, write an essay. It was just, here's a big sheet of paper, just like write your excuse for why you shouldn't have to do this.
Okay.
In this case, it was more like a worksheet. It was just kind of like a lot of check boxes and little blanks to fill in. There was
Yeah.
not a lot of wiggle room to describe things. But one of the primary sort of check boxes was like, what type of employment do you have? How are you employed? Are you hourly? Will you get paid while you're on this trial?
I see.
So, like, I think that I'm guessing for something that's freaking 4 weeks long.
Yeah.
That if you check, hey, I'm not going to get paid because I'm hourly for the next 4 weeks, that's probably like an instant excuse.
That's amazing. We'll have to
Like
talk
a
to our.
genuine hardship.
I wonder if we
Yeah.
can talk to our accountants and be like, is there a way that businesses, I'm not even saying we should do it, but is there a way
Yeah.
that businesses then say, like, oh, one of our employees was gone for 3 months. Like, we needed to hire somebody else temporarily and pay this other person, right? Like, I wonder if there is a tax. Who knows taxes? I don't know. It's just, I can't even. But, like, you know, if you're a business and, like, person who packs your boxes is gone for 3 months and you have to hire this other person, and you're not going to like not pay the other person. I hope you're not going to not pay the other person. Like, what happens there?
Yeah, I didn't, like I said, I didn't have room on the sheet to describe, like, hey, like, it would cost us money to, like,
Here's
have somebody
some Twitch links. Here, check
have
this
somebody
out.
cover me for this long, but that was not really an option.
That's wild, man.
Uh,
I still think we need to bake it in. Just everybody does their time by default a month every round, and we just bake it in so everybody just knows. Oh, it's just I got mine coming up in a month. I'll just be gone for this month here. That's my platform.
yes, there's a lot of societal improvements like that we could make, like election day being a holiday, and I
Mhm.
don't know how you feel about mandatory service.
I kind of go back and forth. I think some kind of civic service.
That's what I mean.
I
That's why
believe in mandatory, like, volunteer service.
Yeah.
Well, hang on.
No, not for the military.
No,
No,
but
I don't-
mandatory volunteer is.
I don't think it can be
You know
mandatory
what I
and
mean.
volunteer.
The
at the
kind
same
of
time.
thing that would be volunteer service. I think everyone should have to do a little of it.
That's why I said just service and not military service. Like,
I see what you're saying.
I'm leaving
Mandatory
room for like military or civic improvement or you name it.
Yeah.
But like probably
like go work at a shelter for like some time. You go travel. Well, all these programs have been shut down, but traditionally programs that go out that are not militaristic that go out to try and build and
What?
and you do your time there, right?
Yeah.
And You can maybe you can state a preference if you'd like to be like, I would like to go take my time building houses here, right? And
yeah. Like when I was in elementary school, and I'll say this is probably the best thing that school ever made me do, was that we had a built-in, you have to go do X number of volunteer hours at a place, from a list of different places that were working with our school. And, that's just part of the curriculum. You have to do this at some point in the educational process. And so I picked the library. I was like, I'm going to go volunteer at the library every weekend for like a month or something. And that was awesome. Because it's not just because I liked the work, but it was good and it was instructive, and it kind of forced me to do something that I would have never thought to do on my own.
Yes, I'm the same way. Like I never would get out of the house and do something like that without a little shove. But
everybody should be forced to work some kind of service industry for a period of their lives.
Yeah, I mean, no matter how institutional that sort of program is, though, it does require a certain amount of buy-in from the populace.
Yes,
by which I mean like. You need to share your country with people who believe in the concept of society. Before something like that can work. Anyway.
There are probably some steps we have to do between there and here right now. There's probably going to be a build-up process to that if that ever happened.
And it's got to, yes, and it has to be, I think that is more of a, we're all in this together attitude, right? Like we're all,
that's not this country.
As a nation, we're all, like everybody participates so that we can all understand everyone else better, and it's better for society. So, and I do imagine, and maybe places that have something like that, people who live there could let us know the ills or the benefits of it. But gosh, could you imagine the grift of people trying to get out of that one?
Oh yeah,
yeah. Like I just can't do. I'm allergic to paper. I can't. Nope, it's billionaire's disease. I've got it, and I've got it bad.
Weird.
Yes. Well, I do not have billionaire's disease, but I do have like a billion games I've been playing. Huh?
Hang on. Okay, I'll allow it.
Okay, good. Look, I'm gonna start off with a game that I've been playing a bunch of, and I just want to keep talking about, and it's Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Now.
I think you've almost convinced me to play it.
Good. Finally, my campaign is near ended.
I need to finish a long game before I take on another longish game. I know it's not 100 hours or anything, but like I need to get through Assassin's Creed, I think, before I take on another one of those.
Yeah.
But I think that one is next up in the queue.
So I've hit I'm now working my way through Act 2.
Okay.
I still think this game is fantastic. And they do a thing where they just give the characters weight. I don't know. I just feel like I haven't played an RPG where the characters feel like they're reacting to the world in ways that also make me feel for the characters and not just like, oh my gosh, this is just ridiculous. This is this melodrama.
You mean purely in terms of writing and performance, not like the way they physically engage with the world.
I mean, the graphics are very good, yes, but not like this phone they're holding it actually looks like they're in their hand. But the performances are good. Both the animation, I don't know if they did actual performance capture, but the emoting of the characters is good. And the writing and the performances of the vocal variety, very good so far. Act 2. This might not be a JRPG. Definitely some anime shit in there.
So, okay, that's fine.
All right. Okay, sure.
I know what I'm getting myself into.
But it's good. And oh my gosh, it's okay. Remember when we were first talking about this game and we're like, as a reference, we were like, oh yeah, right. It's got this kind of active turn-based combat, kind of like those Mario RPG games, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's like saying like, putting together a fucking DNA strand by hand is the same as like those colored blocks you put into the right hole when you're like 4 years old. Like
it isn't?
This game gets so layered and complicated with its active combat. It's kind of incredible. Like
it's hyperactive combat.
It's hyperactive combat to the point where I'm in a part now in Act 2 where I'm configuring my party, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a whole different game. Like I've changed like 2 things which make all of the systems that work together in this combat scenario, that this flow I have had for the last couple of hours is totally, everything's off. Everything's different now. How am I going to do this? How am I going to put this state on this person who's going to like piggyback on that state?
Is that stuff all like relatively digestible? Like, does it present all those concepts like piecemeal enough that you can kind of absorb it? Because when I played that demo at GDC, like they just plopped us down in the middle of chapter 1 somewhere, and it was like, even with just the 2 characters I had, like one of them, it felt like there were a lot of concepts around her kind of kit or whatever you want to call it, her set of abilities that were just like, okay, I mean, first of all, I'm at a press event with 30 other games.
I could not imagine jumping into this game without the on-ramp.
It was kind of overwhelming just trying to parse out like what she could even do and how like, what was the term? She's building up like stains or something like that. Was that it? Yes. It was like
so am I.
Right. Like it was kind of a lot to take in off the cuff. So I would hope that I'm sure it tutorializes stuff well enough though.
So like that character builds up when casting spells will build up these stains, which are like these elemental bonuses that then can be spent within that character's next turns for additional effects on the spells. Now, there's just a lot there. I don't want to get into everything, but within each, say, vertical of a character, they have their own thing going on, right? They have their own core mechanic that is different than that. One character drops into different stances after every attack. Another character, the main character that you start with, Gustav, he builds up charges. He's probably the easiest one. Builds up charges from different attacks that can then fill out a meter and then get a super attack.
Okay, that feels like very sort of mid-period Final Fantasy.
Yeah,
like in the 4 and 6 range. Like every character's got their thing.
Every character's got their thing, yeah.
Sounds like there might be more depth to each character here.
But then characters also play off of each other, and it's turn-based. So you're trying to stack certain things and effects that become very important for the next character to play off of. Oh, this character's in a burned state. I have an ability that adds more damage or drops me into something else, different stance, if the character's in a burned state, which will then put the character in a weakened state, which the next character going can take advantage of, right? And you wind up with this amazing stacking of things to the point where I had planned out a lot of my characters to synergize off of each other, right? And I spent some time, and you also have a list of I don't know, it's got to be, so far I'm like, in near the beginning of Act 2, but I got like 30 plus abilities I can put on, right? Not spells, like, I don't know what you'd call them, charms, for lack of a better word. I've been playing a lot of Hollow Knight. And then you have like another set of those abilities. And then you have weapon abilities, right? That also are in there. To the point where I was fighting this boss battle, I was like, oh my shit. This is all stacking up. This fucking hit is going to be so massive when I land this hit. And I don't know if there is a damage cap. I don't think there is. It just happened to work out this way, maybe. But when I landed that hit on this boss, 9999 damage pops up on the screen. Right. And I just like did like a hell yeah.
That's the shit.
And that boss just blew up. But it's those kind of moments where you're like, yes, this is all working. Yes, now hit this one. Oh my gosh, I've got enough action points to put this on. And it was so cool. Another cool mechanic that I've since gotten into, or that I appreciate, is your party can be 3 people, but you can have more than that in the team. You can only field 3 people at a time. But if all of those members go down, they call in the B team, like the reserve. Like
mid battle.
They'll be like, "Hey, do you want to bring in the rest of your party?" Which might just be one person. And be like, and I beat a boss that way. Like I had like, it's like one of those Dark Souls things where you're like, oh my God, there's one more hit. And they're like, do you want to bring in this other guy? I was like, oh my God, yes, come in.
Please,
right,
yes. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's like pretty lenient is not the right word, but
they're there,
generous,
right? They're in the game. Yeah.
Well, but I mean, I'm just thinking back to a lot of RPGs of the, the previous era that would never have let you do that. Like they were very punishing about that kind of thing is what I mean.
Absolutely. And I appreciate it. And, some places where the game is not generous are, they charge you for respecs, right? Like that is a thing and in this game, it kind of does the Dark Soul thing with your equipped weapon where, it'll buff based on, dexterity, right? Like, it's a dexterity C weapon, right? And it's a strength A a weapon, which means it's going to really buff off of your strength stat. But you might be dumping points into that and then suddenly get a new weapon. And you're like, shit, this is like a luck-based weapon. I've been putting all my points into dexterity for this character. And it's kind of expensive to respec. Like I probably have like 10 or 11 respecs now that I haven't used. It's probably going to be one of those games where I end with never doing it because I was always scared to do it. So I kind of wish I got more of them or that it were free. Because when I look at them in the store, they're fairly expensive, at least for where I'm at in the game. They're like 10,000 gold or whatever. And I've got, like 40,000 gold, but occasionally a weapon comes up and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to buy it.
Is it just gold?
No, it's something else. I don't know.
Okay. They
Chroma?
Have
I think it's Chroma.
Their Gil or Zenny.
I think it's called Chroma.
Mm-hmm.
And you find it all around. You could probably grind for it too. But like, I wish that were better. I wish the sorting on some of the traits you can put on were a little better. The way they kind of mechanically work is you can put 3 of them equipped, and if you win a battle with I think the person still has to be alive, win a battle and be alive 3 times, you actually learn it, and then you can unequip it and spend points to have that on instead of having it equipped, if that makes sense. It's like a fairly dense amount of mechanics in here.
They give you turn order, don't they? Mid battle.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would be pretty key for planning multi-character kind of combo stacking stuff.
So the thing I think, Brad, you might really dig is that you can really get through some pretty hardcore battles if you're just good with parries and dodges. Because I have not been able to do this, but I get the sense that if you're good enough at it, you just would never get hit. Like you can kind of parry and dodge everything.
Yeah, I kind of feel like I remember getting that vibe playing that demo that was like, oh, this like the amount of like dexterity you can use to just sort of not take damage seems pretty
But
cool.
not only not take damage, the parry can be extremely punishing on the enemy. And they introduced a new parry in Act 2 that it seems even more so. I mean, you have to be pretty good. The timings get really tight. But I've definitely made it through some fights that I was like, okay, this is like I can get hit 1.5 times in this fight. But I can also, and then I'll be dead. That's how much damage the enemies do. But what if I just don't get hit? I could win this fight.
What if?
And I've done it. And I've been like, shit, I did it. Because every time you parry, you get to do some pretty sick damage on the response to it. And it just kind of stacks up. So it's just very rewarding. And mix that in with a story that I'm still fascinated by. Like, I really want to know. They have been just leading you along in ways that like, oh, I have some thoughts about where this might go. But I'm so curious to see where this ends up. It's cool. Still really enjoy it. Still think it is a very special game just in terms of what it's melding together and how cohesive it all feels. In the world just feels like it's got this emotional weight to it that I maybe had left me with more JRPGs or even RPGs in general. Like, this one just feels like the characters are really working their way through the events of this world and not just like, whatever, we're cool. Like this, you just blew up a city. Like, you'll be over it by the next fight, Come on, Cloud. I don't know. Look, Final Fantasy still looms large in my brain. It's just,
it took up a lot of your year last year, so I can understand that.
Yeah, I might check this out at some point. We just finished the second arc of the new Andor season.
Okay.
Episodes 4 through 6. So I am like pretty primed for consuming some more fantasy French right now.
Great.
If you haven't seen those episodes, you'll understand what I mean when you get there.
I think it's got. So I've been trying to do some optional stuff, but some stuff is just too hard for me. And the other thing that's nice about Clair Obscur is that I'm not getting a lot of go find my wallet quests, right? Like, you stumble onto boss encounters that I'm like, man, that I'm not doing this right now. I will come back for this.
Does it open up like to the point that there are side quests and you're just exploring and like tooling around for a while? The stuff I played was mega linear, but I grant that was like early and probably story setup stuff.
So there's an overworld map. I don't know if you got that in the demo or where you played.
No, that was not in there.
I have a vehicle, let's say, to traverse. Right. Kind of like, when am I going to get the upgrade for the airship to drill down? Like, how am I going to get past this stuff? So I've got that. they're just encounters I'll see on the map, and you could see that they're just big dudes, right? You're like, oh, I'll give it a try, and you just get stomped. And I'm like, if I could parry or dodge better, I could probably do this. But then you do that thing where you hit them, and like it just shows 2 on the damage or something. And you're like, I gotta come back to this.
Yeah,
one.
Maybe this ain't it.
Yeah, my complaints are mostly there are a lot of systems that I think juggling sometimes the systems can be overwhelming for how complicated they synergize with each other, where I sometimes almost feel like I just want to save this loadout. It's that complicated. Like the way they work in tandem with each other. There's so many variables in this. I have not looked at any build guides yet, and I just feel like there's probably a whole industry of build guides for this game, or maybe there's just one everybody settled on. But like maybe you could build some really broken builds by really putting the right effects on everybody and the right party members.
Did you see this thing where somebody dug up the director's old YouTube channel?
No.
And it's just full of these old Devil May Cry stunt videos, like no-hit combo videos.
Oh no, big parry person, huh?
Right. Yes. Seems very on brand.
Parrying is really satisfying in this game, and also it's a real son of a gun because when you miss it, sometimes it's no good. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it, and I'll tack on to this little segment here of it. I beat the Hollow Knight Coliseum. And for those who have played Hollow Knight, that was basically the last big thing I wanted to do before I want to maybe do the Grim Troop DLC, but that game is pretty much spun its course for me. I have every charm. I'm ready to go. I got all the health bar, the mass fragments, the charm slots, and all that stuff. I think I'm ready to go on that game. So let's just say another game with a lot of timing action in it. It's been a real sweaty time on the controller.
Are you going to be down for 2 Hollow Knights in 1 year?
We'll see.
All right.
I feel like, look, it's probably good now, right? If we wind up getting Silk Song this year, which I assume we will.
Yeah, they said 2025.
Look, people say a lot of things, all right?
Well, they're showing it.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, they can only say things so many times before it's like, come on.
But I feel like I will be primed and ready to at least speak to what's different, what's new, and what's the hype about when it comes out, right? Like what's going on in it. So I'm pretty glad that Hollow Knight is an experience I've had. Let's say I don't really know how to express that. Like I think that game is awesome. I'm very.
Doesn't matter when you come to it. You've found you at the right time finally.
Yeah, and it's a ramp up. It's Hollow Knight is definitely a power curve where you're like, oh, okay, like man, I've got all these abilities now, like a Metroidvania, right? Like I've got all these abilities now that, man, they've scaled up the difficulty. But this again, Hollow Knight, I don't think I expected this. It's very much a build game as well with those charms.
Yeah, even in the 2-3 hours I played of it. God, was that this year?
I think it was this year
or late last year. What is time? Yeah, it was very obvious even in the first like 3 hours of that game how much of juggling different charms around to customize your build were going to be like the core of the gameplay.
I just hope maybe a little more fast travel in Silk Song.
Yeah,
it gets.
I mean, you're definitely way deeper than I got, but I definitely felt like there was quite a bit of backtracking going on. Can
be a little cumbersome at times. So anyway, those are the big ones that I have tried to put a bunch of time into. Before we in the A block here, I think we have time for one more thing, kind of quickly. Sunderfolk.
Yeah, we tried that out yesterday.
Yeah, what is that?
Well, we did. Alex, why don't you start explaining it while I turn off my dehumidifier that just kicked on?
Sounds great. So I had no idea what this was going into it. The way I would describe it is a co-op RPG, which is couch co-op playable via a phone app. So
okay, yes, right. Yes. I remember looking it up and thinking like, oh, this sounds like sort of like Jackbox, but role playing or something.
Kind of. Yeah. So like they give you a handful of characters you can choose from. They are all various animal species, anthropomorphized, obviously. And, it's like you have a pyromancer, you have a rogue, you have a berserker, like the fairly standard kind of RPG classes. And you're trying to, there's an evil, you have to kill it. There's spiders, you have to kill them, etc. But like the big thing is when you go out on these missions, you're just controlling what you're doing, everything you're doing with the phone, and it's card based. So like all your attacks, all your abilities are kind of mapped to these different cards, which you can bring into battle, and you're only allowed to bring a certain number of them in. So if you keep earning more, you kind of have to swap them in and out. But like, for instance, I was playing the Rogue. One of their abilities, which I started spamming endlessly, is the Greed is Good ability, which allows me to attack for a certain amount, and then I can move, but then I can move more when I collect something off the ground, be it gold or an item or something like that. So, you're kind of just sort of playing to these different card abilities based on the combat arena you were presented with, which is, turn-based and is just a series of monsters you have to deal with, or a situation where like you have to get this NPC off the map kind of thing.
They're like encounters, really. Like you're not all traveling together as a troop.
No, you go back to a hub world after each mission, and then you kind of buy stuff, talk to people. You're building relationships, sort of like the Hades hub world. You're kind of building a heart meter for everybody. But
through like
it's pretty straightforward.
And then you kind of launch into an account, like a puzzle encounter, or a combat encounter. The shorthand, if people have played it, Gloomhaven or probably Frosthaven, I haven't played it yet, is very similar to that mechanic, where you have a deck with ability cards in it. There are certain abilities that'll pop or not pop, and then if you hit somebody, you're also kind of rolling, quote unquote, with another deck of cards that has modifiers, -1, +1 to hit stuff. And that's very similar to the Gloomhaven style. The other thing that's interesting though is it's really set up for couch co-op. Once the game is launched and on the screen, you really don't interact with the screen or that PC. Sorry, you don't interact with that PC to do anything. It's all from the phones.
Yeah, so, all your attacks, all your plan, everything you're controlling is being done via the phone app.
That's cool. Like the whole Jackbox concept seems like it's been ripe for people to apply that to other genres for a long time.
Yeah, and this is a smart application of it, I feel like the actual mechanics, the combat, the role playing aspects and stuff. It's all just simplified enough to where the phone stuff is very legible and easy to play around with, but it still feels like there's a little bit of challenge there.
And it's up to 4 players. Only one person has to buy the game, so the phone app is free.
And they just give you like a QR code you hold up to the screen and then you join.
Yeah, so I played this with the kids after we streamed it, and they really enjoyed it as well. But it is absolutely a game I think you could stream, as we did, where somebody's just presenting the screen and the other people are controlling it. It's turn-based, but all the player characters can decide when they want to go in what order. But then the the AI will take over and go after that turn. So you can kind of talk to your friends, like, hey, okay, you do this first, set me up for this move, and then I'll come in after.
And also, I'm looking at... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, also on top of that, I lost what I was going to say. So you go ahead, Brad.
Oh. I mean, I'm looking at footage of your stream yesterday.
Yeah.
Of you guys playing it. Like, is it all pretty much combat and like mechanics focused? I guess I had, for some reason, when I heard this was like this co-op group experience, I thought there might be an element of DMing involved. Like somebody might be making up story as you go. But this seems like this is more just like the game is giving you the scenarios and you're playing them.
Yeah. I mean, they present it almost like there is a DM, because there's one voice actress who is doing all the voices in the game, not trying to make a mask of it. They're basically like, and then the merchant was like, hello, welcome to my store, right? Like doing it. I think it's a voice actress from Avowed, folks were saying. So,
yeah, it is.
So it does have that charm of sitting at a table and somebody telling you a story, but the player characters are not doing explicit storytelling. Once in a while, the player character is allowed to name something in the game, like, "Hey, name this enemy," and you'd be
Do you mean like the Boo Boo Head Rock?
Yeah, it's like Boo Boo Head Rock.
Did you interact with the Boo Boo Head Rock?
We did interact with Boo Boo Head Rock.
Okay,
because I think Abby had named some of the enemies Boo Boo Heads, and then there was a rock on there, and I was allowed to name it Boo Boo Head Rock.
All right,
which is fun. This is always fun.
That's a good goofy application of that.
Yeah, I had a good time playing it. My kids played we played on phones. My kids played on tablets. That seemed to work okay on larger devices, though when you launch it, it does give you a little warning that like, hey, this is mostly designed for smaller screens, for navigating around and moving your finger around. But it did seem to work just fine, at least for them. they were not complaining. So good, family friendly fun. And I think we got through that 2-hour stream. It usually takes me about that long to set the board up for Gloomhaven. So it is a dense game with a lot of stuff.
There were a lot of people in chat, a lot that were just like, hey, this is just like Gloomhaven, except I can understand it.
Totally.
Like that seems to be a common refrain around that game.
Gloomhaven is
Gloomhaven, yeah.
Gloomhaven and Frosthaven. Again, I haven't cracked my Frosthaven box open yet.
Crack open a frosty one.
A frosty one of Havens are good games. I've played some Gloomhaven. Dense, a lot of pieces, but the mechanics are similar as a base, and then kind of add on top of that of what is appearing in Sunderfolk. So there are more things to keep track of, but it's a little easier when a computer is keeping track of it for you. Like, right. Oh, sure, yes, I can't move this far unless I picked up the gold, right?
Yeah,
and
that makes sense.
Yeah. So having to keep track of that on your own sometimes could be a little overwhelming. Helper apps out there too. Anyway, Sunderfolk, I like it. It's on the PC, cool. Xbox, PS5, and the Switch. $50. You buy it once, and you can share it with your friends if you, I guess, are streaming through a service or sitting on the couch and playing. Well done for that game. All right, let's take a quick break. Come back. Talk some more games. We have some new stuff to talk about. I was very excited to talk about Clair Obscur, but there are games that are coming out this week we need to get to, and I'm excited to talk about them as well. So we'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back. All right, we're back, and a game I'm excited to check out at some point. We'll probably play some of it on Friday, is Deliver at All Costs.
All costs.
If you've kept track of the Planorama, if you kept track of, where is it, Brad? Was it Summer Games Fest? Where did you play this originally?
No, this was on, I think it was the last Steam Next Fest that we talked about it when I played through the demo, the Next Fest demo.
Okay.
A couple months ago, and I've played a fair amount of this final version now.
Talk to me, Brad. You start, Alex. I know you've played some of it too.
Yeah.
How far are you, Alex? It sound like you might be further than me.
I don't know that I'm necessarily further. I'm like to the third day.
I think I'm also at the beginning of the third day.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I got through the first couple.
Did you do the giant fish mission?
Yes, I did the giant fish mission.
Okay. Yes, I've also finished that one. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was say the vibe of this one is slapstick delivery. Like it is, you are a driving delivery person. It is kind of an isometric camera view, and everything is stupid. Like you can drive into everything, you can crash into everything. All the missions are dumb as hell. The driving mechanics feel a little bit like Ivan Iron Man Stewart style.
I may have said this when I played the demo, but it's the gameplay in general is somewhere between old Grand Theft Auto, like pre GTA 3, but like overhead.
Yeah.
Grand Theft Auto and Super Off-Road. Yes.
And like, a little Crazy Taxi in there too.
Yes, and some of that, yes.
But it's all very physics heavy. Like you're fishtailing constantly. I'm not even just when you literally have a fishtail hanging out of your truck.
Like the destruction physics are like kind of something to behold.
They're great.
Like, it's really like everything breaks. I mean, it's like your truck is indestructible. Like you cannot.
Not completely. You do have to repair like your tires and stuff if stuff goes really bad.
It's funny. I mean, like you can. If you run over like some fireworks in the road, your tires blow out and you have to get out and fix those, but you can drive through an entire house. You can like demolish an entire 2-story building with your truck and come out without a scratch on the other side.
Yep.
It's like they don't do anything mechanically to get in the way of you absolutely demolishing everything in the environment.
Yeah.
So what stops you from just going in a straight line then?
I mean, there's plenty of like walls and like gaps, and there are some things that are not breakable. Like
or the cargo might also get
that's the bigger thing.
Yeah, so yes, so far every single mission I've seen so far has a unique mechanic to it.
Okay.
And in at least some of those cases, the mechanic has to do with, hey, you need to be careful with your cargo.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Not in every case. Like in one case, you have like a balloon maker in the back that's constantly blowing up balloons, so you just become airborne randomly, which actually just kind of helps you get where you're going a little easier.
Mm-hmm.
But other times, it's like, oh, you got a carload of melons in the back, and like they fly everywhere if you hit turns too hard or slam the brakes on. Like you need to get to the mission with a minimum number of melons intact.
Mm-hmm.
So be careful.
So in that sense, what is the loop of doing a mission? Is it like like, hey, this is a 10-minute mission, and when you get to the end and the melons all fly out, it's super waste of time? Or is it like the thing where you're just restarting constantly?
I haven't run into one that was like a hard time limit yet. There is a grading at the end of the mission that kind of is like, how long did it take you as part of that? But
yeah, do you know is that affecting, like, you get paid after every mission, right? But I'm not sure, because they do tally like how long you took, how many times you had to restart, and if there are unique mechanics, it'll throw those in there too. But I don't know if that's affecting how much money you're getting.
It's not super clear. I've been very not paying attention to the money for the most part. One, because you can find it running around the world, just like hitting crates and shit. But also it hasn't really been an issue so far. Like I assume at some point the economy will become more important and you will need to like replenish things like buying duct tape and what have you. But so far that hasn't really happened yet.
Like, how long is a mission?
A handful of minutes.
Okay. 10 to 20 minutes, depending on how many steps
10
it is.
to 20. Okay, that's like
20 on the outside. That's like that melon mission, I think, required you to go to like 3 different places before it was over.
Yeah, I'd say 10 to 15 minutes for that one for me.
Yeah.
And the fail state's not like an instant thing. Like you could make it pretty far.
There's respawns, and you do get docked, I think, for the number of respawns that you do. I
see. Okay. So this is the mechanic that I didn't quite understand. Okay, so like you're in the mission and you're going to finish the mission just with penalty, basically.
It's possible you can fail a mission outright. I just haven't done it yet.
Got it. Okay.
Maybe there's like a limited number of respawns. I'm not sure, but
and it sounds like there are consumables for that economy to buy. Like
yes.
You said duct tape.
Yeah, there's things you can use to like repair your truck and stuff. There's also like new modules you can buy for your truck. They give you a crane pretty early on for like that fish mission.
Did you craft the hydraulic doors?
Yes, I did in fact craft the hydraulic doors because you find that blueprint like pretty close to the beginning.
So there's apparently a bunch of gadgets you can craft in this game, and I don't think either of us has found more than those first 2 that they give you pretty quickly. But I don't know what else is going to be in there. Like the driving and the mechanics could get pretty interesting if the gadgets start getting really weird.
Do you have gadget slots that you've seen? Like
yes,
okay.
There's like a truck RPG screen with different slots for which gadgets you have in there.
Do you know if you can? Is it okay? Does it seem like you can have infinite, or is it like, no, you can only have 3 gadgets at a time?
There's like slots for each function, so I'm guessing like, something else goes in the same slot instead of the hydraulic doors. You're making a choice of what you want.
Oh, I see. Right. Like, you could have nitro or something else.
Yeah, and it gives you some of the blueprints in the course of the story, but some of them are locked behind optional objectives. And have you finished any of those yet? Like, did you pick up any of the question mark missions?
I picked up one. I haven't finished it yet. I found the mayor. And I went up to the rooftop and talked to the mayor. He's like, "You need to find my double." I haven't found him yet.
Oh, you mean you found the actual mayor? Yeah. I am also looking for his double, and they give you like no indication at all where that guy is.
They just kind of tell you what region he's in, and you're supposed to find him.
It's like, he's on this particular map, and it's like, okay, the pedestrians are pretty small in this game. I'm not sure, and I'm usually whizzing by. I'm not sure I'm going to recognize this guy on sight, but okay. But the point is, they lock some of the blueprints for gadgets behind like optional quests and stuff.
And those quests are in mission? It's not like there's a free roam where
there is free roam.
Yeah,
there totally is.
The story is you get a job at this delivery company, and every time you finish a mission for the company, you get paid out, and then it's like, you're in free roam. Like, contact us on the radio when you're ready for the next mission.
Okay, so you could just burn some side missions.
You absolutely could just roam the world collecting money, and there are shops to spend money at, and find blueprints and stuff like that.
Do you lose money for like knocking a house over?
No.
Okay, good.
And and everything is restored when you load out of the map and back in. Like all the buildings and fences and stuff come back.
Okay.
Like it's really fun plowing through shit in this game though. Like the driving feels like the driving mechanics are the thing in this game.
Totally.
So when you did the demo and when I watched a lot of the videos, it seemed like maybe there would be this overarching story.
There's a lot of story in this game, and it's like I don't know how I feel about it because there's a lot of story.
It's not bad though. Like
it's not bad.
I can't say that it is like fully caught my intrigue like out of the gate, but it seems like you have a little bit of a weird past. Maybe you were a rocket scientist or a farmer or something.
It's set in 1959, and like you're getting letters from the Atomic Energy Commission.
But it's also very Fallout-y. It's like it's not quite the 1950s, you know?
Yeah, it's kind of like that, but it's like, the AEC is like stop sending requests to our department. Like, it seems like this guy who was just a delivery driver might have been like a nuclear scientist in his past life or something, or some weird shit like that. Mm-hmm. Like the story seems like it could be going in an interesting direction, and especially to the extent that it ties into maybe enabling some weirder gadgets for your truck. That will be really cool. I think my main issue is just the pacing is like kind of glacial at times.
It's a little slow at the beginning, for sure.
It feels like some of the dialogue scenes really just kind of take a while to get to the point in a way that I'm like, man, I want to get back out there and drive some more. Like, you could maybe just tighten up a little. It's not bad, but it's just like it feels like some of the dialogue, some of the exchanges could be tightened up a little bit to kind of get you back out there.
Deliver at all costs. Anything else you guys want to say?
I'm going to keep playing
cool.
it.
I'm very excited.
It's fun. It's fun to drive around and do the missions for sure.
We'll show that for sure. We're planning on doing a grab bag on Friday, so we'll boot that one up and take a look at that. Deliver at all costs, PC, PS5, Xbox.
Might not hurt to put like 30, 45 minutes into it before the stream just to get those first couple of gadgets and have a little more to do.
Yeah.
Love it.
I can always steer it. I've already got that stuff.
Alex could just play it.
Yeah. I might check it out tonight. That game comes out the 22nd. So as of the time of this recording, that would be Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
$30 again. PC, PS5, Xbox available.
It has. Yeah. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt your bit here. I was like, it has the feeling of like an old THQ game. And I kind of mean that complimentary.
I absolutely had that exact same feeling playing this. It was just like, and some of that comes down to like the storytelling stuff that I was not super big on, but it does have a certain feel of late PS2, early PS3, 360 era type of game, kind of. And in again, not a bad way, like kind of a fun throwback way.
Yeah, let me again be clear. I'm not talking about THQ Nordic. I'm talking about THQ original flavor.
Yeah. Yep.
But then it would have to be licensed, really, right? Then you'd have to have some kind of like, this is I don't know, what's a delivery truck licensable? Bob the Builders. I don't know.
They made non-licensed things. I mean, the thing I'm actually
one.
Totally, the thing I'm thinking of is like Destroy All Humans.
Oh, sure. I think there was like a new Destroy All Humans thing.
Not that long ago. Yeah, it was a few years ago, I think.
The Blob had some creative merit to it.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Oh no, sorry, it wasn't Destroy All Humans. I think there was a new Mars Attacks thing.
What?
Sorry, I don't want to.
What are you fucking talking about?
I want to derail.
You can't just say that.
I think there was like a Mars Attacks game. Looking it up now.
Mars Attacks game?
And it's called Mars Attracts. And it's called Mars Attracts, is a park management sim set in the iconic universe of Mars Attacks. Play as the devious Martians as you construct detailed enclosures, manage staff, and most importantly, abduct and experiment on humans.
What the fuck? Somebody had an idea and they went for it. Holy
are we talking Mars Attacks larger property, or are we talking Mars Attacks movie specifically?
This is absolutely like, look at the screenshots for this. It is full on the Martians with the giant brains and the big glaring eyes. Like,
well, those were in the original trading cards and stuff too. But
look, I couldn't tell you this is Mars Attacks TM. I don't know what that means to you. To me, it means the movie, but there might be a bigger thing. I don't know.
Somebody just like the phrase Mars Attracts popped into somebody's head fully formed one day, and they were just like, oh, we should turn that into a management sim. We should make that.
Totally.
This is baffling.
Yeah, this is really bizarre.
Not in like I'm not trying to be negative. It's just like, what?
Yeah, it's going to be coming into early access. It's not out yet. Sorry, I just saw this come across some feed or people were talking about it.
It is my strong belief that neither Jack Nicholson nor Tom Jones will appear in this video game.
I bet you're right. I bet you can probably put some money down on that. Yes, I don't know the provenance of this. I don't know what they're referencing. But again, Mars Attracts.
Here we are.
That is not Deliver at all costs, though maybe they share some similar reference points with their 50s sci-fi. So ties it all in there together. What else you guys got? What else is cooking in the game hopper?
Well, I got two games right now I can't talk about yet because of embargoes, but I will have those to talk about. I think both of them next week, at least one of them for sure. Other than that, I'm really trying to press the gas on Assassin's Creed so that like I said, I'm not still playing it in October. I am somewhere in the 55-hour mark or somewhere around there.
Okay.
I still have like 6 main targets to do and a whole lot of other ones, scattered ones.
Are you focusing in, or are you just still kind of bebopping around?
I'm trying to like make each of the main targets like where the starting point for whatever other bullshit I do.
Okay.
And then, inevitably you end up killing 4 or 5 people you didn't even know were there.
Yeah.
By the time you get done with that. I'm just trying to get there, man, because there's still about 73 objectives I currently have floating around the map at any given point. So
go kill 100 bandits in this territory.
I killed some guy who I forget what the nickname for him was, but it was like basically the equivalent of the long spear that Yasuke has.
Okay.
And I'm currently trying to kill the ox.
The ox. Okay, his was like a long setup.
Yeah.
I feel like fairly involved.
Yeah, every time I think that I'm like getting close to it, they're just like, well, actually, you should go talk to this Ronin, and then there's this guy is going to have you do like 3 things.
Right. His feels like his also feels like out of the ones I've done, one of the more you're hinging a bit of the story on this in a more important way than some of these other assassinations I've done. Like this game does not truck too much in gray area, but like, you know, I think it's the Ox who has like, he was gathering up ex Ronin, was it? Like, I can't remember.
Just like people that were like, had
disenfranchised,
had been disenfranchised during the course of the Nobunaga conflict and all of that. So,
so like his like
voice
a little
for
bit
the
more
voiceless kind of thing, but it's also very clearly for not great ends.
No. Well, best of luck to you.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've still probably got another 50 to go, but if I just keep the hammer down, maybe I can be done.
I played more Revenge of the Savage Planet. I've been playing it with Will while you've been out. Brad, we've been playing some Revenge of the Savage Planet.
Every single time you say that, I think you're going to say Revenge of the Sith.
Nope.
Every single time.
No, it's always Revenge of the Savage Planet.
They knew what they were doing.
I always think it's going to be Return. I've written Return to the Savage Planet in our upcoming and in titles, and then I have to be like, oh crap, it's Revenge. Mm-hmm. I still think that game is great. I think the loop in it can be a little checklisty that you're just kind of running around getting these things without even concentrating on the game. So it's made a good game to stream with Will because we just basically podcast during it, right?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh yeah, we've got objectives, we're going, and we basically just need to coordinate when we're fast traveling back somewhere.
Yeah, there's room for that.
Absolutely. And with playing with the kids too, it's fine because we just kind of go off, and when we need to come together, we get together. Though with the kids, it's a little harder because it's only 2-player, and now I've got a game going with my daughter. They have a game going together, a game going with my son, and they're all in like different parts of the game. But I think it's well made. It's like a solid, well made collectathon-ish kind of game with fun animation, and in the way that Deliver at All Costs feels like a throwback THQ game, this feels like a throwback to some, maybe PS3, Xbox era of collectathons going on there.
That's perfectly acceptable. Like I'm not ashamed. Yeah, I'm not ashamed to admit I love to check off a list.
Yeah,
I love to have a list of things to do.
That's why I play open world games.
Yes, and check them off. Like, are we going to talk about Fortnite here or in the news?
Let's just do it.
Talk about Fortnite.
Give me your Fortnite.
Because doing the daily quests in that thing has become like a fun like meta optimization challenge for me in the same way that something like exactly like what you're talking about, like in an open world full of things to check off, there forms this like extra layer of mechanics on top of the actual things you're doing of like, how efficiently can I do all this stuff? How many different things can I do in this one action,
Right.
Like how can I line up my tasks so that like on the way from A to B I get 2 of them done, and then when I get there I get another 3. You know what I mean? Like
I've got a half hour. How much can I get done?
It is like that optimization aspect of it is really satisfying to me.
Well, what kind of things are you trying to check off in Fortnite?
Oh, there's a bajillion quests, man. There are so many quests.
Yeah,
I've got almost everything
for the season.
I got Palpatine 2 days ago.
So this is the seasonal stuff.
Yeah, this is for the seasonal stuff, which is, I guess this is my understanding, is a sort of short season, which is only a month. I think the seasons are usually like 2 to 3 months, if I understand correctly.
So it's a Star Wars season, and you have not put money into the Battle Pass. You have been able to.
I did buy the Battle Pass, but I had V-Bucks already. For some reason, I had 1,000 V-Bucks in my account already, which was exactly what the Battle Pass costs.
But you didn't have to buy levels.
No, I have.
Look, if you do, I don't. What do I?
So I got Palpatine a couple days ago. I unlocked General Grievous as we were getting on here to record on my telephone.
Okay.
Oh boy,
because they put Fortnite back on the store.
It's back
on the iOS store,
pending appeal. Huh?
I played exactly 1 match of it, and somehow managed to finish a quest when I was doing that because there was an easy quest queued up, and apparently I was just on the cusp of leveling enough to get General Grievous. I think that will be the last match of Fortnite I play on my phone.
So Grievous is outside of the battle pass?
No, he's also part of the battle pass, but it's on a separate rewards track.
Oh,
okay.
Like there's the level 1 to 50 battle pass, which is the main rewards track, which I have now maxed out. And then Grievous is on his own separate thing that only unlocked last Friday, along with AI Darth Vader, actually. So like the same, they took it down overnight to enable all the General Grievous rewards and also put in AI Darth Vader, who I have rolled with several times now.
How racist did he get?
Not at all, but I also was not, let's say I was not goading him to be racist.
Yeah, I wouldn't think he would do that.
Before we get into the Vader thing, you mentioned playing on your phone, which I think is incredible for you, particularly.
Never again.
Okay, that's it. That's the end of the story there. You played with controls.
I was using touch controls. Like I'm sure with controller it's fine. Although I mean I have an iPhone SE3, which is not that old, and it did not run great. So I certainly and the screen's too small. Like just not my thing. But
it's because Apple is throttling Fortnite.
That's right.
I'm sure that's what it is.
Let's go back into them. This was the news story we had. We'll just talk about it here. The Darth Vader, and when we say AI. Because when I first read the headline, I was like, "Oh, it's like an AI-controlled Darth Vader." Like that's.
I mean, it is that too.
But it is large language model Darth Vader because it is James Earl Jones's voice who then responds to you if you talk to him.
And it really took me by surprise. This was, I think it was like late Friday night. I was playing it, and like it was the day it rolled in, and I had seen like a couple clips on social media. Excuse me, of people talking to him and making him say things. But I just got him because, like, okay, the map is rotten with Star Wars characters right now, and
believable.
On either corner of the map, there's Vader on one end and Captain Phasma on the other, and if you go fight them as bosses when you drop, I'm sorry, I can't believe I'm talking about this shit. I can't believe I understand.
It's a video game. It's all good.
I'm having a fun time playing it.
Good.
What's wrong with that? People love Fortnite.
Ain't a damn thing wrong with it.
It was part of my meta at the time. I was pretty much going for Phasma or Vader at the beginning of every match because you can get good stuff off of them. So I just went for Vader to get his lightsaber and his force powers. Like I didn't even know the AI shit was, or I didn't know that's how you got him.
You're just an innocent.
Like normally you would kill him and he just dies and you get his saber and that's it. But after they made that change, I did all that and ran off. And next thing I knew, he was following me around.
Did he say your screen name?
And then he started talking. Yeah. He doesn't say your screen name. He says the name of the character you're using.
Okay.
Oh,
so
I saw some. Okay, look, I have to preface this. I have to be fully honest with our audience here. I think this is ghoulish. I think this is really weird.
It's fucking weird.
I think this is like maybe could be under my travesty bucket, but the clips I was watching, I laughed at some of the clips of people making James Earl Jones's Darth Vader say the worst possible shit ever in the middle of a goddamn Fortnite match while they're playing as like Hatsune Miku, and I had to be like, this is the worst fucking timeline.
It's
but
so
like,
weird. It really weirded me the fuck out the first time it happened, and I realized he was following behind me, and it's just like, and again, he addresses you as the character you're using.
So okay, so does he say John Cena if someone is running around with fucking 100%, John Cena?
100%. He literally was just like, is our next target flooded frogs, Poe Dameron? I was just like, what the fuck? And then I realized,
see me, John.
And then I realized, because I was on the PS5 and it's got the built-in microphone and the controller, I literally just hit the mic button and asked him a question.
Yes.
And then next thing I knew, I was just having a conversation with AI Darth Vader.
What did you ask Darth Vader?
I don't want to. I'm embarrassed to say.
Look, they've got your voice. They've recorded it. They've processed it. So you can tell the audience now.
I'm embarrassed to say, as someone who has read the novelization of Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, I was full on asking him like in
more
universe
questions.
I was asking him in universe questions.
Did he know them?
Well, what does any AI model know?
That's true.
Whatever you feed it.
Did he give a convincing answer?
Let's say he had relatively plausible answers for the things I asked, but like not like, were they canonical answers? Probably not.
Okay, well, there's extended universe and stuff like that. Maybe this Darth Vader. Look,
I asked him like, do you hate Palpatine? And he was like, Palpatine was a means to an end. That end was ultimate power or something like that. It's like, all right, sure. I'm sure an LLM could put those words together in a plausible way.
And what character were you playing as at the time?
I was playing Poe Dameron, the Oscar Isaac character from the sequels at the time.
Okay.
So it's fucking weird.
As part of the news story, right?
Yeah.
Yes. I've stopped going for AI Vader, I should say. After the first couple times, I was like, all right, Also, it's way too spicy in his base now. Like, fucking everybody is dropping there. There's also a weekly quest for getting 15 kills in that base.
Mm-hmm.
So between that and the Vader thing, because everybody just wants to make memes with it now, like, it's like, don't even fucking set foot in that place.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Alex, talk to me about the family of James Earl Jones and the estate and SAG in terms of this news story.
Yeah, so, I mean, this thing is so fucking dumb. So, like, they got permission from the estate of James Earl Jones to do this. So, like, this is not them digging up James Earl Jones's corpse and stealing his vocal cords without knowledge. The family signed off on them digging up his corpse and stealing his vocal cords.
Yeah, it sounds, if I understood, it sounds like the kind of thing where he just signed over rights in perpetuity to his voice to Disney, kind of while he was still alive, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was 3 years ago.
Yeah, I'm sure that's one of those things you do because you're like, this will, provide for my family long term. Yeah. I'm obviously not going to be here forever. So it's like, fine, whatever. That's your prerogative. If you want to do that, I'm not here to judge. But the thing I am here to judge is the fact that they clearly did not test this well at all. I'm not saying they didn't do any testing on it, but like literally day one, getting people to say like wildly out of pocket shit. That says to me you did not really stress test this thing in a way that like probably was necessary for a general populace.
Yeah, you can see clips out there. Did
Microsoft Tay teach us nothing?
Apparently not.
How many years has it been since they were able to turn a Twitter bot Nazi in about 12 hours? Like, come on, man.
It's just we don't learn from anything. And so the other side of the story is that apparently SAG-AFTRA is filing a complaint and basically saying like you didn't even give a unionized voice actor the chance to do something with this. You just kind of circumvented that whole thing. Now, this is a sticky situation because I don't know what is required of Epic in this situation. Like, I don't know if they are required to go to the SAG-AFTRA and say, hey, we're doing this, or hey, do you want to have an actor try out for this or whatever? Like, there isn't really, I don't know what the vagaries of that are. And also, again, SAG-AFTRA is currently on strike against a number of publishers. I don't remember if Epic is still one of those or ever was one of those, but they are currently in the midst of a voice actor strike. So I can understand them raising heckles around this, but the bigger thing is if he licenses his voice to Disney and Disney just says go nuts, I'm not sure they're in any legal requirement zone to have to do anything with that. But it is just another notch in this long belt of problems that SAG-AFTRA is going to run into with this technology over and over and over again.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder what even, like, I can't imagine that any kind of legal precedent or even really, like, labor policies have fully been explored or figured out around this kind of thing.
Certainly not baked properly yet.
Specifically because this is interactive text or interactive dialogue, right? Like, that's probably the thing Epic could hide behind here, is saying, hey, this was not authored dialogue. This is effectively text-to-speech. Like, this is being generated on the fly.
Yeah.
I don't know.
SAG statement here, kind of just jumping in from the news story here, is unfortunately they did so, and that's kind of what the so is, put him in the game, right? With the AI, without providing any notice of their intent to do this, and without bargaining with us over appropriate terms. As such, we have filed an unfair labor practice charge with the NLRB against Llama Productions. That's the Epic stuff, I assume.
So that was something else I have not looked into at all, and I should have had the realization that of course this is a thing. It sounds like they are like a support studio devoted to just making stuff for Fortnite.
There are several of those now.
Of course, there are just tons of development houses now devoted to just making things for one of the 6 games that everybody plays now.
Yeah.
And so I have to imagine that this is part of what they're negotiating during this strike, right? Are the terms of this thing? Do you need to prove a case that this is there's more statements from SAG that go on to say like, hey, we have people that do very good Darth Vader voices, right? Like, essentially, I'm paraphrasing here.
Yeah.
Did you try to reach out to them first, and this is the only recourse for that, right? Like, maybe that's part of what they're negotiating out, or this is just Vinny speaking. Maybe it's part of what they want is, hey, if you find that there's no way to replicate this voice, this cadence, this means, then okay, let's figure out something using a replication of a deceased actor's voice. But if you have another way we can do this with one of our members, let's take that route first, right?
So there is another way, and this is Epic more in the hot seat than Disney. I don't think Disney's really super involved with the mechanics of implementing this, but Disney used Disney found a solution for this in the Obi-Wan show a couple of years ago that has Darth Vader in it, which was to use a different type of AI middleware called Respeecher. If you watch that Obi-Wan show, that middleware that they used for that show allows you to take a human voice actor and have them give a performance.
Yeah.
And then effectively skin their performance with another voice.
This type of stuff.
So it's it's almost like vocal puppeteering where they had somebody deliver lines. So they did hire an actor.
Yeah.
But you don't hear that actor's voice. Right. You hear the intonations, the cadence, the actual.
It just comes out as
it comes out sounding like Darth Vader. I don't think they credited the actor who gave that performance in that show. If I'm not mistaken, there was kind of a minor flap around who actually gave this performance. It doesn't say in the credits who did this talking.
Yeah.
Because you made it sound like somebody who's no longer living.
Yeah. And they did, it's basically the vocal equivalent of what they did with the was it Peter Cushing or whatever actor it was that they did the digital face skin on? And
Carrie Fisher, both in Rogue One, they full on just tried to digitally resurrect, which was not.
No, it's not good.
Not it.
But there was a real actor that they cast to do the physical movements of that character, and then they just slathered a CG face on them.
Yep.
And so, obviously this is dynamic. This is not, he's not spitting out canned lines. So I'm not even sure.
That might be better, honestly.
So I'm not sure SAG-AFTRA's position explicitly is hey, they kind of say we embrace technology, but maybe you could be paying one of our members to use their voice in these dynamic lines rather than not hiring members here to do this. Because I think that's the biggest issue is if this goes, or the fear, I would imagine, right? If this continues, at some point, you're basically not hiring, even to use your voice dynamically like this, any members. You're just generating from previously recorded stuff.
Right.
Forever, right?
Yeah.
So I have to assume that, James Earl Jones was a member of SAG, right? I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that.
Yeah.
And I wonder if SAG at this point, and maybe somebody from SAG can reach out who is a member and knows more about the negotiations. I wonder if there will be stuff that's hey, if you work on a project that's SAG, you cannot sell the rights to that voice in perpetuity forever. I wonder. I don't know. That's the thing that I would, if I were a member, I would be I don't know. It's my voice. Can I sell it to somebody if I want to use it forever or not? But I will tell both of you this, and I've told my family this. If you motherfuckers ever do this to me, I will haunt you from the fucking grave.
Understandable.
I will come back. I will fuck you up.
So I agree with you, and I will never do that to you, Vinny. I promise. But it gets into weird territory because, when a person dies, are they still a union member? Does that?
I'm saying the work that was recorded, right? Right. If James Earl Jones, and we're just spitting game here, right? This is not based on anything. But if James Earl Jones, as a SAG member, recorded this project, getting SAG dues, and as part of the union, if it's SAG work, can SAG stipulate something that's you cannot reuse this in perpetuity forever without ongoing payments? Or is it James Earl Jones's voice and he's hey man, this is it's my voice, I own it, you can do whatever you want? That's a question I think would have to be answered by the union.
Yeah, it's weird, sticky territory, and I don't have a good answer for it. I think I maybe lean in the direction of if an actor really wants to do this, I can't think of a good reason they shouldn't. It's just that it just creates a weird situation.
The labor and voice acting stuff aside, actors have been selling their likenesses for years.
Right.
Estates have been granting. There's a whole cottage legal industry around managing the likenesses and products of dead actors.
But it's so different now. What was it? That Gene Kelly thing. Remember that commercial for was it Hoover? Where they mapped Gene Kelly onto Dancing with the I think it was Hoover, or it was a vacuum cleaner.
It came up when we did the Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow Watchcast because of the was it Laurence Olivier? Yeah, making a posthumous appearance in that movie. And again, granted, they are using footage from one of his movies and just digitally superimposing that into the thing, and then having a different actor do the voice in that. But it in the Ebert review of that movie, he talks about that Gene Kelly commercial and like how this feels like of a kind with that, if not exactly the same.
So that's ancient history now, but I do think we're still kind of
we've crossed several Rubicons since then.
But we're figuring out creating whole new works forever with the technology we have now that can be. I mean, Brad, you've played it. Would you say it's a pretty passable Darth Vader? Not interaction, because he doesn't need to be calling you the Riz.
Your lizard brain identifies it as Darth Vader. Like the tone of voice is believable. Like if you really listen to the cadence, you can definitely like some of the clauses that come out of his mouth sound like full sentences, like naturalistic, the way a person would speak them. Others feel very chopped up. There's like pauses before a noun as it like tries to stitch together a bunch of Mad Libs.
There's
what I mean?
Like a loading quality to it.
Like some of the speech is believable to your brain. Some of it is not. It's all stupid though. Like it's all
in service of completely frivolous shit.
And that's why it's perfectly at home in Fortnite.
Yeah.
I have like fully come around to the video game McDonald's theory of Fortnite. Like it's everything about this game is stupid as fuck.
It is. I'm so glad we watched it, but it is the Ready Player One, right? It is.
Yes, like the lobby before a match feels indistinguishable from watching that movie. Like it is just characters from every brand imaginable doing dances and fucking around with each other. And like it's a fun battle royale at the core of it, which is why I'm still playing it. But like,
do you think they should? Okay, now I'm putting aside just kind of separation of concerns here. Putting aside the LLM and the recreation of somebody's voice, and let's just say everybody got paid that needs to get paid somehow magically. Do you think they should, based on the character you're using, you should be able to use your microphone on your PS5 controller or wherever you're playing to speak as that character's, other people hear you come out as that character's voice? Yes.
I don't even know how to answer that.
If I'm playing as Goku and I talk in game, wow, Brad, that was a great kill. Should it just be Goku? Oh boy, we're going to have a fun time today.
Giving people the ability to puppeteer whatever the character's saying, unfettered by whatever. Not a great idea, probably. Because like I'll tell you, I think I did pick up Vader one more time after they did like their emergency patch to try to stop all the racist stuff or whatever.
Yeah,
like the range of subjects he would no longer address was broadened dramatically. Like,
would he just say that? Would he be like, "I'm not answering that"? There's
like a stock phrase in there now that like even innocuous stuff I was asking him about, more like Palpatine shit or whatever. He just like constantly was just like, that subject is of no interest to the Empire.
Oh, I see. So like, if you were asking Vader about where you were on January 6th, he would he's not going to get into it. Okay. Yep. All right.
He shuts you down now.
Again, the kind of thing that maybe a little bit more extensive testing, you would have had those guardrails in to begin with, but hey.
Never underestimate the audience.
It's like, I mean, again, like this thing is stupid, but also the wrapper that it's contained within is also stupid. Like everything about this game, top to bottom, is just ridiculous and kind of hard to take seriously. But like, when this type of technology starts being deployed for, let's say, like dramatic cutscenes in a single player game or something, is when it starts to become a lot more pressing. I guess like what I mean is I place very little value on what comes out of the mouth of a Darth Vader running around in Fortnite to begin with, no matter who is voicing it.
Yes.
But if it was like something like a Clair Obscur, I'm just picking the most recent narrative game we talked about off the top of my head. But if it's like your big tentpole single player games start having cutscenes with primary characters voiced by these types of models, then it's going to become a lot more urgent to deal with, because that sounds extremely shitty.
Well, especially at the cost of voice actors who have not agreed to be compensated for that style of work, right?
And at the cost of the final product, quite frankly. It's like, do you really want to debase your own work by not giving it like the human attention it deserves, representing human characters? You know what I mean? Like
there are certain things, again, I think SAG even kind of explicitly states like, look, this technology is here and we just need to figure out a way to have it deployed in a way that keeps people earning and keeps people in the loop, right? That doesn't take away the creative agency from the actors and actresses that are participating in it. And having a Darth Vader that responds to people in Fortnite, like you said, it's goofy. Maybe it's low stakes, but it's weird. It's a low stakes, goofy thing, but it's also front and center of a lot of the challenges we're facing in what's happening here on that front. So good job, Star Wars. Good job, Darth Vader.
the last thing I'll just say on this is like, if this kind of shit had appeared, I mean, not saying this exact technology, but something like this had happened in a game that came out like 15 years ago, back before everything was just online and on every service and whatever, they would have had to fucking recall that thing. Like, they would have literally had to bring that game back and fix it so that Darth Vader no longer said the racist shit.
Yeah.
Because, it's that level. Like, this is the kind, but this kind of shit is now happening all the fucking time. Like, these kinds of weird edge casey things just keep making their way out into the wild.
Wait, Edge Casey is back?
I wish. But it's just like, this like, when you start throwing technology like this shit into a big ecosystem like this,
we lost control.
We're losing control of this kind of thing. And I feel like that's not something Epic wants. Epic does not want to be in a position where they are losing control of their own product and what's happening in it.
Or Disney, you'd think.
Yeah, Disney is maybe the bigger one in this.
Yeah. Some of those clips I saw, I'm sure somebody at Disney would be like, brand safety.
I'm sure people at Disney were just thrilled about this.
Yeah.
I didn't call John Drake, but, I can guess.
I can guess. Like, I thought you said this was going to be cool.
Yeah.
Even
you were supposed to be the chosen one.
You are the Skibbity Rizzler. That's not what he was supposed to say.
No.
Vader, can we do this? Bet. There's that guy got cooked. I can't do a Vader. I'm sorry. Maybe I should get my voice changer. What did you call that thing?
Glazing me.
Respeecher. Respeecher is the name of that.
Where's Chad Vader? Is he not still getting work?
Oh,
okay. Well,
tragically.
I will just say before we move on, okay, I'll tell you this for your own purposes. If there ever comes a Transformers season in Fortnite,
yes,
and Optimus Prime is the level 50 reward.
We've passed that point. Yeah, we're way past that.
Well, but I don't know. Maybe they'll do more. Like, apparently they do the Star Wars thing every May.
Oh,
so
wow.
Some things that are like new, and Transformers, plenty of other characters they could throw out there.
Interesting.
I have not seen a Megatron running around in there yet.
You have not? Okay.
But the thing I was going to say is, like, it's shockingly easy to max that battle pass out. Like, shockingly. I bet I've probably been averaging like 20 minutes a day. Like, literally just come home, knock out a couple of matches, like pull up the quests, like figure out like, okay, what's the most efficient way I can do the dailies to get you the bonus XP.
They got you,
like,
man.
Like 2 matches and you're out every day. It's like really not that much. And like, I've got 2 weeks to spare and I'm almost done already. Like, they really want you to spend money on that game, and so they make it very easy to just get the rewards.
That like they have scientifically distilled this through the finest sieve of psychiatrists and psychologists.
I even feel like a little bit of a sucker now because there's this category of quests called alignment quests where you're building up like Sith and Jedi alignment by doing factional quests.
Okay.
The XP value of those quests, and those renew constantly. If you get 4 at a time. When you do one, they swap another one in. Like, you can do as many as you want. The XP value of those more than tripled with the update last week. So it very much felt like a mid-season, like, okay, the people that we know that are going to grind the shit out of this game have probably got all the stuff and spent the money already. Now it's time to turn up the XP spigot. And make sure that people who play much more casually can also still get all the rewards to make sure that they also spend the money before the end of the month.
And so, right, like because they probably have some metric for like, okay, like people who are, 50 to 60% through the battle pass are way more likely to put money in to get the next couple levels, right?
Because they show you, this is very industry standard. They show you everything you would have unlocked if you had already bought the battle pass.
Yes.
Before you buy it.
Right.
But so it's like, the people that play 6 hours a day have already maxed everything out by the midpoint of the month.
Totally.
The people that play casually, it's like, let's turn up the progression ramp or, turn up the pace for those people so that they can also max it out and make sure they also buy it before the month is over.
Insidious and genius.
It's
big money, big prizes.
Yeah.
I don't love it.
You don't love it.
I just have to keep stressing this though. Like it's the game is fun. Like that's the reason I'm actually still playing it is I'm actually like getting the battle royale experience that I no longer get from Apex or PUBG. So,
look, this is 2025. The year Brad is like, Fortnite's a super fun game. You're all right. Vinny's playing through Hollow Knight, being like, "You're all right." Alex, you go. What are you gonna get into? What you gonna get into some just like Korean MMO RPG and be like, "Look, you all were right. this game is."
Never been a better time to get into Phantasy Star Online.
Final Fantasy 14.
There you go.
Yeah, you guys were right. I'm sick. We are the guys. We are the problem that we were talking about. We just play the same games from the last 15 years.
Yep. The year we all succumbed.
Yep. We're just a statistic now. It's terrible.
We've given up.
I honestly, I kind of don't see myself playing a ton of Fortnite past this season, though. Like,
you got what you wanted.
I'm going to get all the Star Wars stuff I wanted and probably not play it until next May.
We'll see.
There's no ammo this month. I'll say that. It's all Star Wars guns, so it's all just blasters. But once you have to worry about ammo management again, I might be out for a while.
I don't know. You got all this invested time in it. Where are you going to show off this Grievous skin, huh?
Look, here's what I'll say, Brad. I'm not holding you to anything. You keep playing Fortnite, won't judge you for it.
All right, fair.
All right. Any other games folks want to talk about before we move on to the news section?
I could touch on Doom of the Dark Ages if we want.
Sure. You're still plugging away?
I don't have a ton to say there because I have not played back up to where I left off on PS5 yet on the PC, but I have stuck to the PC version, and it's just further reinforcing my feeling that that's a mouse and keyboard game.
Okay. Okay. You feel more at home?
Just plays way better. Like I'm hitting every parry without even thinking about it, where I was missing a lot of them on the console.
It's a baby's toy. It's like mouse and keyboard.
I don't know what it is. It's just like your middle finger is just resting on that right mouse button. It just
middle finger, huh?
Feels way more natural to
middle
me.
Finger. I just put my hand on my mouse. For some reason, I was like, "Oh, ring finger," but then I was like, "No, that's middle
finger. And anyway, like I said, I have not seen any new content in that since I've been playing back through the first several levels again.
I wonder how it's doing.
I don't know.
I don't hear too many people talking about it.
It was a big launch.
Yeah.
Okay. I hadn't looked at any numbers, and of course, they know that game falls within the BDS boycott of Xbox.
Yeah,
that's right.
As we will continue to remind you,
and we'll probably be talking about again in the news segment.
That's right.
Yes, also that.
I've just been hanging out in my Clair Obscur internet holes. They're not playing Doom down in those holes. Playing their French RPGs.
I think the news on this was that it was one of the biggest id launches they've had. So,
oh yeah,
yeah.
All right. Well, we'll talk about the news when we come back right after this. And we are back, and it is time for the video game news and Bungie's Marathon game, which has been, it was
alpha recently.
Alpha recently has been lauded for its gunplay, its gameplay, and for its striking art style. Could be divisive, but people generally were talking about it. Alex Navarro,
yes,
got a story here that maybe some of that art style was used without permission.
Yeah, so this comes from, this was raised by the Scottish artist Fern Hook, who straight up just posted, basically that a bunch of their poster art and poster designs that they made as far back as 2017 basically were just in Marathon.
Or pieces of them.
Yeah,
pieces of them. But
I was confused by some of the language. It is actual assets this artist made, right?
Some of it, yes.
Some of the language they used was more around their visual style or assets lifted from poster designs I made. I mean, it's all, if they took anything from the posters, it's still a problem. I was just trying to get my head around the scope of what they used.
I can't verify this one particular detail in myself, but I've seen multiple people bring it up, and I'm pretty sure the artist herself also brought this up, but she said that, as a joke, okay, do you guys know what the comic Loss is?
Oh, yeah. Yes, I saw the Loss.
The Control-Alt-Delete thing?
Yeah, I remember they were pointing to, hey, here are very specific little goofs I put in my stuff that are also in this game.
In a way, they were a watermark. She was putting in these little lines that were sort of to represent the shape of that comic, which is unto itself a meme, and that stuff was in the art that made it into the game.
Okay, I am now seeing some side by sides between here's poster artists made and here are textures from the game, and it's they almost drag selected parts of the posters and chopped those out to turn into design for the game. So there's absolutely very specific elements from their work.
It's not just a design thing. It is literally pieces of art that they made have found their way into the game. And so she raised this point. Bungie has responded and said they are taking action. They laid the blame at the feet of an ex-artist who they would not name, who left the company some years ago, probably in the last few years, it looked like. And that they are now doing a serious audit to figure out how much of that art was used, whether anything else what plagiarized may have found its way in there from that artist or anyone else. And it resulted basically in them having to do their weekly live stream or whatever the regular developer live stream was, and being like, we're not showing you any footage today because we're still going through this process and we have to figure this out.
It's like too dangerous to do so, right?
Yeah. And this is fucked. I mean, for a whole host of reasons, you know, a major company like this taking art assets, even if it was the work of one, you know, bad actor, looks real bad. But it's extra bad for Bungie right now because they're in a weird position in general. And I want to say that the general vibe around Marathon hasn't been over the moon excited from, you know, a wide audience. Like, there are people who are excited about it, but I feel like they still had some things to prove with that game. And this does kind of put a damper on that.
Yeah, they definitely still do. Like, I'm optimistic about it, but I think Vinny seemed to feel the same way. Like, it was fun enough, but not like there was a kind of a certain pizzazz that wasn't there. Not visually, but like just something about the gameplay loop. Like, it was fun enough, but
it seemed a little rote.
Wasn't all the way there.
Like missing a little hook a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I will say visually that was probably the most striking thing, for better or worse. That some of the UI stuff I actually did not like, but the in-world aesthetic was unique enough where it was something that stood out to me. And again, I think the gameplay mechanics, when you the left trigger, right trigger, was fine.
That said, it turns out it's not that unique.
But this, you know, having elements of your work or your whole work lifted and put into something to sneak through, I understand this is complicated. It's you got a bunch of artists working on this thing in all sorts of stages, making sheets.
Tons of people are touching this thing, you know, over the course of its development.
And maybe a kind of bumpy development too. How many artists are doing decals and all sorts of work? But man, fuck that shit. If you're lifting something off of a Google thing that you're like trying to get inspiration from, copying it in, and it makes its way into the game, it's a hard blame game to kind of point the finger. And it sounds to me, and I don't know, I'm not defending Bungie here. It sounds to me they're acknowledging it and trying to not excuse it, but I don't know what the move here is really. Like, what do you do? Do you go through everything and have artists be liable and sign stuff that's like, look, you can't fuck us on this. Like, you can't.
Well, I assume that's already in their employment contract. Like,
I would hope something.
You know, but yeah, I mean, the bigger thing is I think they're doing what they can. There really isn't a whole lot else they can do. They did acknowledge it. They did not pretend like this isn't happening.
It sounds like they reached out.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Like what is the quote that they're committed to doing right by the artist? I think is how they put it.
I mean, if I were them, and I'm not, and I'm sure there's probably more complicating factors that might prevent this, but if I were them, I would just wheel a dump truck full of money up to that artist's house and say, do you want to be a primary artist on this game? Like, just without us having to tear all this shit out, are you okay with this? And if she says no, then you have a bigger problem and you got to figure that out. But I think the way you make it right is to say, look, we fucked up bad. We want to compensate you for it. And in fact, maybe even highlight your art in a way, since it did,
if you're cool with that.
If you're cool with that.
Yeah. But I think, yes, that is obviously a solution. But I think for a lot of people, especially for big companies that Bungie owned by Sony, right?
Right.
You know, it just calls into question, well, what else happened? You know, like
what else did your oversight fail to catch?
Yeah. And I don't even know if I were art director, boy, I don't even know how you get that kind of oversight, because it's a dense art style.
That's the thing. And also like the internet is vast, you know, like you cannot audit every piece of art against the entirety of the internet, you know? I mean, I guess, but there are, like, you know, there is enough kind of image search stuff out there at this point that maybe you should actually, at a minimum, assign somebody to like do basic image comparison between what you're putting in your game and what else is out there to make sure nothing comes up.
It's challenging. I realize that.
But it's a thing that this is an art style that's pretty dense in and this is where some of this stuff comes from. It's very small writing or textures, almost. It's a very flat art style, but almost textures on the poster, right? It's like shapes and abstracts and stuff like that. And it's from the pictures I've seen, it's irrefutable. This stuff is lifted.
No,
there's no question.
These are like extremely explicit.
Yeah, and so whoever comped this in, whether it's by fault or ignorance, that was like, oh, I was feeling this, right, and then I put it in and it snuck its way through. You can't do that. And at some point you have to trust your artist. And that's where I'm just like it's hard. That's a hard thing. Maybe there needs to be better tools for art auditing across stuff on the internet. And I just think it's going to get harder with like, there's probably a world, and I'm not saying this is the case here. This could have just been somebody who went to look and feel stuff and lifted it. There's going to be a world where somebody's going to ask an image gen to do this that has hoovered up this work and it spits it back out. Right. And they're going to say that, I used an image generator and it spit that out. And then who do you point the finger at? Right. So like this stuff everything's
getting much muddier.
So muddy and complicated.
But this one isn't, in this case, this one is not.
Like I cannot imagine an innocent explanation for the person who actually put the stuff in the game, because this is like straight up copy and paste job. Like,
look, I'm going to play devil's advocate. It's dumb. I shouldn't. I fully agree with everything that we've said here. But in some cases, in early stuff, you're trying to prototype and do look and feel stuff, right?
Oh,
and
yeah.
This nails it. This and like, hey, heads up, guys, never put this in the final game. This is some temp shit. And then it snuck through.
I'm well aware of the concept of the mood board. Like you put up the mood board, you put the vibes board up. You take anything for a mood board, because nothing from a mood board is supposed to find its way into the actual product.
It's why you don't swear in your dummy text, right? Because it's going to make it into the game. This happened in Flight Sim. I don't know if you guys saw, where like there was dummy text on like this planes that were like the tiny little text, and it had like just weird fucking shit in it.
I mean, the game fan example from back in the day is notorious.
Which one is that?
In the games press, game fan. They used placeholder text when they were
comping something out,
roughing out the the magazine layout. Except that the text that they put in there was like fairly racist in nature.
There you go.
And that made it into print. And without it,
why would you write that in the first place? What are you fucking doing?
Yeah, even the most charitable explanation here is, like you said, somebody put this in, tempted in as like a look and feel thing, like, this is what we want to go for, and then forgot to pull it out or something. But even then, like, just don't put it in there in the first place.
And that still kind of beggars belief past a certain point,
Yeah, or like again, I can come up with a million ways that this got in there. The end result is an artist was put in a game without compensation, and that sucks.
Yeah, in the end, it is still a failure of oversight, no matter how it happened.
And I hope they iron it out and they make it right. And it sounds like, again, from the reported stuff, that at least from Bungie's point of view, they're trying to make it right. From the artist's point of view, I don't have the.
I'm not here to tell her how to feel about any of this. She should do whatever she wants. She feels is required of her. But man, what the fuck?
Maybe in the end there's some compensation and she gets some promotion on her work. Maybe maybe like you said, Alex, they could do some. I mean, if it's good enough to use for look and feel, go make some promotional work and get paid for it, right?
Yeah.
All right. That is Marathon, and look, people working on Marathon, I hope your game turns out well. It sounds like Bungie's had a ride,
Yeah. I always want to play a good new Bungie game.
That's right. All right, Nintendo still okay. I sent this to you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Not this
you should
story,
lead with this.
But I sent you an email that I got.
Oh, I got one of those too.
Okay, great. That said, it said like Nintendo Switch pre-orders or something in the headline in my inbox from the Nintendo store
regarding Nintendo Switch 2 purchase invitations from my Nintendo store.
That's right.
Is the name of the email.
Like, oh, finally. Okay,
what's happening?
Because people have been getting theirs.
Hey. Regarding Nintendo Switch 2 purchase invitations from my Nintendo store?
Yeah.
You're not getting one.
Oh. Oh, well, no, I think there's a line in there literally that's separated out from every other paragraph that's like, well, what should you do?
Yeah,
shit. You should not do shit.
Yes, we wanted to let you know that you're still in the queue to purchase and to share with you a handful of updates on what to expect. Line break.
Yeah.
Like header, like H2 header text. What happens now? There's nothing you need to do right now.
Motherfucker!
I got the same email and went through the exact same emotional roller coaster.
Oh my gosh. So yeah. Anyway, Switch 2 continues to be making its way into a few select hands. Some people with, again, I'll just say this because half joking about complaining about it. Obviously, it's frustrating to not be able to get one.
Well, hey, I mean, if we can't get Switch 2s, at least we can make some content out of not getting Switch 2s.
Totally. And thanks again for everyone who has offered, who has an extra one or doesn't want theirs anymore. But I'm going to try and ride this one out until the very end. And see if I can come by it organically. I might hit up a few select people if it comes to it. We'll see. I'm still hoping I get that real email someday. But we got a couple of stories here. Let's start with the one that is about the availability of the Switch 2.
Yes.
And that is that it is being reported that, look, we might not be getting Switch 2s, but it's not. Maybe it's not because it's a personal vendetta against us, Brad, though. It's a TBD. Let's see.
You're talking about this games business story?
Yeah, that maybe media outlets are also just not getting them.
Yeah, games business has reported, and that's the Christopher Dring outlet. He left gameindustry.biz and started this with Keeley. We mentioned this a few weeks ago, but he's reporting that multiple sources have said that apparently Switch 2s are not going out to media for review until basically launch. Like, I don't know how broad this is. Like, I don't know how robustly this is sourced. Like, there might be some people that'll get it sooner.
I bet you're talking about only the most top line of top line media in that case. And I bet you're not even talking about Games Press in that context. I think you're talking about the New York Times and shit like that.
It's like New York Times and Time Magazine or something maybe gets access to them.
Somehow USA Today will get one, but yeah.
Yes.
So Brad, the reasoning might be different than people think, right? Because it's not necessarily hardware availability. That's not what they're saying.
Well, no. The games business story says that Nintendo has been telling people that there will be a significant day one patch to the system.
Interesting. Yeah.
That is why they are not sending it out before then.
Interesting. Like a hardware patch.
Yeah, some people ran with this to be like, oh, it's going to be broken out of the box. It's going to be unusable when you buy it unless you patch it. I absolutely don't even remotely think that's the case.
That is not what I am trying to get at.
Not at all. Having covered Nintendo products for going on 30 years now.
Or any product that has a day one patch.
Yeah. But particularly Nintendo, of every company in the industry, wants the people covering their stuff to have what they consider to be the ideal experience.
Right.
Like if it is for them a choice between giving editors at media outlets an extra 5 days to cover the system, or making sure they see it in exactly the ideal release form that Nintendo thinks it should be experienced in, they will absolutely go for the latter. Like they would rather truncate the review cycle than let people see an unfinished version. But I don't in any way think that means this thing is like shipping broken or some of the like conspiracy theories people
could be
hatched.
wrong, but I agree with you.
No, we're just spitballing here.
This is also exacerbated by our experience with the pre-order situation. Like this was one of the fallbacks of like, well, maybe we can get a review unit at least early. So like that's part of why we're eyeballing the story so closely. But like, I mean, unless there are people that the story didn't speak to that are secretly getting one a week in advance, like you said, at like major newspapers or something. Like it seems like coverage of the Switch 2 may come in extremely hot or after launch, basically.
Yeah. And I'll say this for my part. I don't think they're going to have any issue with supplies, but I do think that they are probably under a mandate to say, if you have units in the United States right now, you get that shit into stores. Because we don't know what the restocking situation is going to be for Nintendo. We don't know what impact the tariffs will have on things when they have to ship a bunch more of those consoles over here. So I do think there's probably some impetus to try and get as many of those things into the hands of consumers versus media. Also because Nintendo at this point, they don't need the media to sell the Nintendo Switch 2.
I mean, I think that's actually the secret subtext to this whole thing is that like, do they need it? Nope.
No. And like we're talking, this is going to be a seller, right?
Yeah, it's going to sell.
They don't need it. It's fine. The other thing that is interesting to me just in this whole story is like this is a console that's been delayed for a while. Nintendo, you guys may be closer to this than I am, but my vibes-based relationship with Nintendo is they're not really last-minute people. Like coming in hot with a day one patch on their console at the 11th hour on a delayed console doesn't feel like a Nintendo thing. It's usually, I mean, if anything, Nintendo feels like one of the outliers that's actually ready to go early. Like they did their homework early and they're just holding it.
Yeah, like even in this example, all of the first party games that are shipping on cartridge or on physical media are on the cartridge. Like Nintendo is not shipping. What is the term they're using? Game key card, I believe, is the name for the kind of virtual download cart. Okay. Like all the first party games they're shipping are actual games that run off the card. So like to your point, their games will be ready to go out of the box for this thing.
Yeah, so I do wonder what's going to happen. Maybe it's some kind of maybe they're working on some kind of piracy thing on a server or something that they don't want to flip on until way later. You know, something that they're just kind of keeping under their hat until the last minute. Now, it doesn't say, this story doesn't report that outlets will never get one. They're just saying that outlets...
It just will be at launch or maybe even after.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, for people who don't know, I don't know, what Alex and Brad, what would you say the lead time on a new console for a major media outlet, or even like a GameSpot or something would be?
Just like the review site?
It varies.
It varied. Like
a couple of weeks, month?
I feel like a couple of weeks was usually the range.
Like 360 was the first console launch we were there for, I think. Like a week minimum, like a week to two.
Yeah.
They get it early to get a stack of games.
Yeah.
And then
I feel like the week was like the short term we would get on that.
Like week and a half, something like that.
And then everybody just like tries to chew through as many games for a review at press time.
Depends on how many units they send, but yeah.
So yeah, that's a bit of a unique situation. Could be a lot of things. Again, this story reporting that it's a hardware patch.
Maybe this will be the thing that like turns VRR on in docked mode. Who knows?
Yeah. Although that sounded like maybe a hardware.
Yeah, they said
I'm sure it is.
Yeah, they said that's not happening. There's a quote in this story from somebody who's launching a Switch 2 game at launch who's super bummed about it, like a third party.
Yeah,
could be.
You want those reviews up?
Yeah, it could be an indie. It could be an indie game. You know, that it's just like, hey, this is like really going to hurt us because we're not Mario Kart and we need coverage.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. I think they even. I'm skimming for the quote and I don't see it. Oh, the lack of independent critical validation is going to make it very hard for us. Maybe we would have been better off waiting a few weeks.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I would say even worse if I don't know where this quote's coming from for which game or if they're allowed to say, but if you were a physical release and you want to be that day one buy-in, right? Like usually those reviews are allowed to go up right around launch when people are going to go to the stores and be like, I'll take a Switch 2 and wow, that game that everybody's talking about, I'll buy that as well. Different now in a digital age where you can just download it, but I can see it. All right, we got another story here about the Switch 2 though. That's not the only one. Mm-hmm. So the Switch 2, Nintendo has said before that there will be updates to certain games. Some will be paid upgrades for certain games, and some games will just get some free updates going along on the Switch 2 version. Alex,
yeah,
we got a list here.
Yeah, these are the ones that will be available at launch. There is no guarantee that they will never add additional updates for other games or anything like that. They haven't said one way or the other, but these are the ones that will be available on June 5th. So
they're fairly minor updates here, right?
Yeah, I would say so. So just to give you the list of games, it is 51 worldwide games.
Hell yeah.
ARMS.
Hell yeah.
Big Brain Academy, Brain versus Brain.
Hell yeah.
Captain Toad Treasure Tracker.
All the Switch hits.
Game Builder Garage. New Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe. U Deluxe. Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet, Super Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury, Super Mario Odyssey, The Legend of Zelda, Echoes of Wisdom, and The Legend of Zelda, Link's Awakening.
So a lot of these updates, you can check out the story on Video Games Chronicle yourself to get all the details, but these are a lot of like HD support,
HDR, frame rate.
Sorry,
it's HDR support on quite a few of these, and a lot of them are higher resolution and higher frame rate.
Yeah,
which that's not nothing. Like that's
no.
Like
there might be some bigger ticket items people were hoping for, but they're not there yet.
Companies have charged for that kind of upgrade. You know, that could have been a $10 upgrade for some of these.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. Some get game share, which is that where people can play together.
Yeah, of course, there were plenty of examples on the PS5, for example, of like Ghost of Tsushima and Last of Us 2 got patches for free to make the graphics better. I think Days Gone did as well. So like maybe this is kind of standard or expected these days.
Yeah. And then what was, I can't remember what Xbox's thing was that made some games just run better in their auto HDR, right?
Yeah, that's more like programmatic
hardware
rather than like patching individual games like this is doing. That was just full on like we've built systems to just do this.
So yeah, there are your games for launch games.
Yeah, that's cool. Like Echoes of Wisdom and Link's Awakening don't run the best on the Switch One.
Yeah.
So that's actually pretty exciting for me that those sound like they're going to do better.
I hope so. There's Echoes of Wisdom specifically says visuals optimized for the Nintendo Switch 2 display and high resolution TVs for improved image quality.
Yeah,
Nothing about frame rate there.
That's true. Well, but those had unlocked frame rates, so hopefully they'll just hold the cap a little better.
But Super Mario 3D World gets frame rate improved for smoother movement on the Nintendo Switch 2.
Oh, smoother movement.
Smooth move, Nintendo.
A fair number of these are getting game share.
Yeah.
Or a few of them at least. Mario Odyssey and 3D World.
Mm-hmm.
And I still think it's very funny that they're updating ARMS.
Yeah.
Like,
it's a game they made.
Yeah, totally. I have nothing against ARMS at all. It's just it feels like it came and went and nobody really like talked about it much.
Yeah.
But it's still orbiting the Nintendo kind of first party thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. It's the fact that anybody's still talking about ARMS in 2025 is kind of heartwarming to me.
Probably some competitive ARMS being played right now.
Mm-hmm. A real ARMS race. The last thing I'll just mention real quick here, I didn't put the story in there, but they are also apparently adding an accessibility feature that will provide real-time captioning for like game chat stuff, like when you're doing voice chat. That was a thing that I think people had been asking for. So sounds like they're talking about implementing some version of that.
That's cool.
Like speech to text thing?
I think so, yeah.
Interesting. That AI, it's making its way all over the place.
Yeah, but that's what you should be using that shit for.
For accessibility stuff?
Yeah, for like making things easier for people to play. That's it.
Not making Darth Vader spout obscenities at you.
Racist Darth Vader or like closed captioning for the hearing impaired. I don't know. I'm not really sure where to go with that.
Gonna have to get back to you on this one.
Yeah.
All right. That's the Switch 2 stuff. Jade Raymond.
Where is she now?
Where is Jade Raymond?
Where in the world is Jade Raymond?
Jade Raymond, superstar from the Assassin's Creed series, made famous by presentations of Assassin's Creed. Ubisoft's once Jade Raymond, boy, what a couple of studios since, right? Like
this is why I kind of put the story in here.
Okay.
And this is not me going off on Jade Raymond or anything. I've never met her. I don't know anyone who's actually worked for her, so I have no real opinion of any of this stuff. But she is, of all the marquee people in video games, I feel like she has to be one of the most bounce-aroundingest people of all the major figureheads. Because following Ubisoft, she went to EA, started Motive.
Mm-hmm.
Motive put out Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Mm-hmm.
Did not go great. They also had that other project, Gaia, which eventually got canceled.
Or contributed to Battlefront 2, right?
I think they were one of the main studios on it.
Wasn't that in conjunction with DICE, or did Motive I think maybe Motive made the campaign part of that or something? Anyway, yes.
Well, EA now has like 4 studios working on any given thing at a time, but she was there for a while after they started Motive, and then when they shifted some things around after Battlefront 2, she left. She went to Stadia.
Your favorite.
That didn't last, for obvious reasons, none of which seemed to have anything to do with her, more to do with Google. And then she went and started this new studio, which got bought by Sony, and was making a live service game.
Yeah, Fair Games.
In
fact, like that's kind of why this is like, I mean, the story here is that she has now left that studio.
Yeah.
Before they've shipped anything, but it's Fair Games with a $. If you remember that.
I do.
Yeah.
It's one of the final Sony live service games that survived the Bungie purge.
Mm-hmm.
The Bungie purge.
Because you know they had like twice as many live service games in production, that half of which got shut down.
Yeah.
This one is said to be some kind of heist game. I don't think they've ever actually shown anything from it.
So the rumor going around this, which some of the reporting was talking about, was that they had done some play tests for this game and that maybe the feedback had not been over the moon positive.
Yeah.
Not really sure what to make of that, but I'm not sure that I read anything that made it sound like this is exit the studio level bad.
I guess it's always possible in a situation like that you've just worked out whatever retention clause was in place after your studio got acquired.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's time to go.
It's hard to say.
Yeah. So the studio, Haven Studios is the studios, and that
it's
studio is still going.
Yeah, they're still making that game.
Without Jade. And Has Jade Raymond announced where she is going?
Not as of yet.
Okay.
As of this moment, and I'm just looking at her, like, Wikipedia page. Literally, the last game she shipped was Star Wars Battlefront 2 in 2017.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't know if you said that was Jason Schreier from Bloomberg that apparently
yes, that was a Bloomberg report.
Reported that detail about bigger games not necessarily being received super well. Like that's like executive level, like high level people move around all the time. I'm not
totally
gonna, like read too much into her departure, but that detail about like the play tests for that game not landing super hard is more interesting to me.
Well, especially at Sony. Where things are, like say, live service games have never been under a tighter microscope than they are now.
With even Marathon not setting the world on fire just yet. Like that sounds like maybe a grim portent for this. I don't know. I mean, I'll certainly still check it out.
I mean, one thing I wanted to add is that like her job at Stadia was not to ship a game. She was like a high level executive there, was working with developers on bringing things to Stadia, I believe. So it was not necessarily she was executive producing any games over there. And I'm not sure that she, like here, she started the studio, but I'm not exactly sure how hands-on she was with the product here. She was the studio founder. But yeah, I don't know. It just feels like the Jade Raymond story so far has been, after Assassin's Creed, she's just kind of bounced around a lot.
Yeah. Like making games is fucking brutal.
Yeah.
Like, post-Concord world we live in.
Yeah.
But also post-Helldivers world. New Helldivers stuff coming out. So, Sony,
they're figuring some things out.
Are they on Earth now, did I see?
I think Earth Super Earth has been invaded, I believe.
Why, like you can actually play missions on Earth now?
I have not yet, so I'd be speaking out of turn to say if I knew or not, but that is what I have heard.
All right, Brad, when you come back from legal limbo, we got to get you in there.
And then I should point out, and then Summer Game Fest. Like a week to the day after the trial is scheduled to end. I'm supposed to fly to LA, so it's going to be chaotic for a little bit here. But yes, we should check out some of that new Helldivers stuff. I saw that because they were talking about, like, I think it was like their highest player population in quite a while recently. Like,
that came back in?
Yeah.
All these fare thee well, or what's
fair
the
weather
expression? Fair weather divers.
Fair divers.
Yeah, fair divers. Yeah, there you go. Fair games. All right. Now we're in the sauce.
Speaking of people
SNK.
leaving places or stepping down from things.
Yes. What's happening at SNK?
More than I could probably ever begin to summarize in this story, but let's start with the specific situation here, which is that Kenji Matsubara, who was the CEO of SNK as of 2021, is stepping back from that position. It does not sound like he is leaving the company entirely, but he is no longer going to be the CEO, serving at the pleasure of the Saudi royal family or whatever. They own a lot of that company now. And the reasoning, though it is never specifically given in the official statements, seems to have something to do with the fact that Fatal Fury, despite a massive marketing campaign, did not really hit out of the gate. Not like critically, I think it's doing okay. Like, it doesn't seem like people who love fighting games have any real major problems with how it plays. The bigger issue is that, I mean, to me, it's a couple of things. One, it's kind of the bad press that game started getting around the guest characters and a lot of the other, kind of stuff around the fringes of that game. And two, the idea of spending an insane amount of money promoting a Fatal Fury game.
Yeah.
I like Fatal Fury.
Yeah.
There was a time when the Fatal Fury name curried a whole lot of positive feelings.
That time was the 90s.
I would like to just add on to when you say MBS, the Crown Prince, Saudi Crown Prince owns some of it. I'll just clarify.
A lot of it.
96%.
It's basically all of it.
It's basically all of it.
Yeah.
And so this was promoted on wrestling, like WWE wrestling stuff.
They bought sponsorships on a ton of boxing matches. And they were using their, let's just say the Saudi royal family's ongoing relationship with World Wrestling Entertainment to also promote the game via their various ringside things and what have you.
I don't feel like there's a lot of actual overlap between those audiences, like wrestling and boxing fans, and like people in the, like we're talking about FGC types that would care about a new Fatal Fury, like people who are hardcore into competitive fighting games or are old heads about 90s fighting games, not necessarily. I mean, I'm sure there's some overlap, but that is not in any way like a one-to-one demo.
here's how I would frame it. I bet there's actually a lot of fighting game fans that are WWE or wrestling or boxing fans, but they are a small portion of the number overall of wrestling and boxing fans, and most of those people don't give a shit.
That's what I mean.
So, and again, Fatal Fury is not, it is a well-liked brand. It is a series of games that I've certainly enjoyed over the years, but I think at a certain point you have to say, like, this is not going to come in with Street Fighter numbers. This is not going to come in with Mortal Kombat numbers to start. You can build an audience of that with that game, and I bet like showings at EVO and things like that would probably help grow that thing organically over time. But it's been a long time since someone made a Fatal Fury game.
Yeah, and especially because like Fatal Fury is a subset of King of Fighters, you know? It's like you've been making King of Fighters games consistently for a while now. And King of Fighters was always the thing that all the other SNK franchises rolled up into, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's like whatever SNK stuff you were into, King of Fighters had all of it. And so, like, they've already been out there doing the thing everybody really remembers, you know? So, like, doing a small, like, this is essentially just doing a smaller offshoot of the actual big franchise that they have continued to support for a while, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that I saw, like, a huge potential, like, surge in audience for this.
So the story on Video Games Chronicle says about 6,000 copies sold in Japan in the first 11 days, according to Famitsu.
And that's like physical goods, I think.
That's whatever is getting reported there. The peak concurrents don't sound too great. And so, the story being CEO steps down, new CEO steps in.
Yeah.
And still owned by the Saudi prince.
It's still owned by the Saudi crown prince. And I will just say real quick, I went and looked it up. Literally the last Fatal Fury game officially was Guru Mark of the Wolves.
Yeah.
1999. That's how long it's been.
That's a good game.
No, look, again, these are great.
Yeah.
These Fatal Fury is a series I like. I think these games are fun. Hard, but fun. It's just, I think they badly mismanaged the approach for this thing in a lot of different ways.
That is SNK. I had forgotten that game even came out.
Yep.
Finally, here we have more Microsoft news.
Yes.
And specifically with relation to their use of Azure.
There is indeed a statement from Microsoft on the subject of Azure and how it pertains to the ongoing BDS boycott. So the statement, as they put it, is this. Based on the reviews, including interviewing dozens of employees and assessing documents, we have found no evidence to date that Microsoft's Azure and AI technologies have been used to target or harm people in the conflict in Gaza. Our relationship with the iMod is structured as a standard commercial relationship. Like all our customers, the iMod's use of our technology is bound by Microsoft's terms of service and conditions of use, including our acceptable use policy and our AI code of conduct. These require customers to implement core, responsible AI practices such as human oversight and access controls, and prohibit the use of our cloud and AI services in any manner that inflicts harm on individuals or organizations or affects individuals in any way that is prohibited by law.
iMod is the Israeli Ministry of Defense, we should mention.
Yes. So in sum, Microsoft has long defended the cybersecurity of the state of Israel and the people who live there. We similarly have been long committed to other nations and people across the Middle East. Our commitment to human rights guides how we engage in complex environments and how our technology is used. We share the profound concern over the loss of civilian life in both Israel and Gaza and have supported humanitarian assistance in both places. And it goes on like that. So I'm going to be real. This is kind of what I expected a first statement from them to be like, which is to say, I did not expect them to come right out and say, you guys were right. We're unplugging everything.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's not how this shit works. But the thing I find disappointing about this statement is not the, hey, we investigated ourselves and found no wrongdoing thing, which is suspect in its own way.
They do say they hired a third-party company to run some investigation, but yeah.
But exactly like how much oversight did they have over that investigation or not?
I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. But the bigger thing is they're not talking about the other aspect of this, which is the people that they have fired for protesting and the fact that there is still an ongoing unrest, I think, somewhat within that company over this. And I understand that's a thornier thing to do legally when you're talking about your own employees, but I would call this unsatisfactory overall.
Yeah, this is not a satisfactory thing. I mean, I think there's some satisfaction to be taken that they acknowledge that there are people who are, to put it mildly, uneasy about what's going on from internally and externally, and that they have been targeted by the BDS movement as a priority target. So I'm not sure I was even expecting them to put out a statement at all. So I guess, like you said, as a first statement and an acknowledgement that there's shit's going on, like I guess this is what I would expect, some kind of lawyer filtered,
Yeah. I mean, look, this is literally an army of lawyers going over this. So, the amount that will actually come out of a lawyer approved statement for Microsoft is probably never going to be satisfactory.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really change anything in the grand scheme of things because they're not doing any of the things that the boycott is asking.
And spokespeople for boycott, divest, and sanction also not too happy with the statement.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect them to be. But again, this felt to me like the inevitable first step was a statement that satisfied no one.
Also not satisfied, Brian Eno,
who I always look to as my moral compass. But honestly, Brian Eno's always been kind of a real one. So
what is Brad? I'll let you knock this one down. Brian Eno. Why would people recognize Brian Eno of Microsoft and Microsoft together?
Brian Emo is a very different
it's pretty good
subject.
As someone who has ranked Windows platforms, why was Brian Eno being mentioned in this Microsoft story?
In this case, he's being mentioned because he has asserted his right to speak publicly on this issue, but his connection to Microsoft is that he did the iconic intro, like boot up opening music login. Well, there wasn't a login at the time, but like the startup music for Windows 95, the little
7-second chime.
Second jingle, which is a classic of operating system startup sounds.
Yes.
Iconic. And now, Alex, what has Brian Eno said about Microsoft's, he doesn't really talk about the BDS stuff, but he basically talks about their role with Azure here.
I mean, it's part and parcel with what BDS is calling for, even though he does not call out the boycott itself, like he is talking about the exact same things that the boycott people are. But basically, the gist of it is that he feels that his association with Windows and Microsoft has put him in a position where he feels like he can no longer feel good about that. So what he is talking about doing here is donating his fee, which I assume was a flat fee. I don't think he's still making royalties from Microsoft on this. But he's taking the amount of money that was given to him for writing that chime and putting it into Windows and donating it to charities that are, trying to mitigate the human cost in Gaza. And, he very, very explicitly, like the title of the message he put out there is "Not in my name." In a blog post, Microsoft acknowledged that it provides Israel's Ministry of Defense with software, professional services, Azure cloud services, and Azure AI services, including language translation. It went on to state that it is important to acknowledge that Microsoft does not have visibility into how customers use our software on their own servers or other devices. These services support a regime that is engaged in actions described by leading legal scholars and human rights organizations, United Nations experts, and increasing numbers of governments around the world as genocidal. The collaboration between Microsoft and the Israeli government and army is no secret and involves the company's software being used in lethal technologies with funny names like Where's Daddy, which are guidance systems for tracking Palestinians in order to blow them up in their homes. And he goes on to basically say that he wants no part of this. He is making his donation, and he invites artists, technologists, musicians, and all people of conscience to join him in this call. He's not beating around the bush. He's saying, like, very explicitly why he wants no part of this. And to be fair, this is not a new opinion from Brian Eno. There is a very old story that has gone around about him trying to convince Nick Cave not to do shows in Israel because of the apartheid regime there and the treatment of the Palestinian people. But this is not a new opinion for him or a new stance, and this feels very in keeping with what his general approach to this situation has been.
And again, his invitation that you mentioned there, his call to action, stand in solidarity with the brave Microsoft workers who have done something truly disruptive and refuse to stay silent.
Yeah.
They risk their livelihoods for people who have lost and will continue to lose their lives.
Yeah.
So Brian Eno, Windows 95 tone, iconic.
Yeah.
Pretty clear.
Yeah.
It's a good statement if anybody wants to read the whole thing.
Yeah.
And again, my personal 2 cents, if you profit from war in any way, you probably don't want to see profits go down. And that becomes a real problem.
Yep.
I hope to hear more from Microsoft, and I would like to hear specifically if they are allowed to ever put out a statement or just some reporting or off the record, like what's going on in the games group. Like,
how are they responding to this stuff?
Yeah, I'm sure they can't get out there publicly for fear of reprisal.
Especially considering we've seen what happened to certain Microsoft employees that protested publicly.
Yeah, but any reporting from actual journalists out there about what the vibe like in the games group is concerning this, specifically because BDS does call out Microsoft games explicitly as one of the boycott targets, not just Azure and Microsoft products. So,
and again, it's worth reiterating they are doing that because that is a very direct consumer-facing part of Microsoft
very public.
That can be hit in a way that could make a bottom line difference.
All right, that is the news. Like Brad mentioned, we will have more news about video games, hopefully some lighter news, in the coming weeks as Summer Games Fest kicks off. Brad, you are currently planned to travel to Summer Games Fest, barring you are freed from your civic duty.
I asked. The judge said, I asked, I was like, I got business travel a week after this. The judge said, you have nothing to worry about.
Okay.
That's what I was told.
Was the judge like, I'll be there? I'll be there.
Yes, probably.
Can I ask you? I've said the word vibe a little too much in this show. I don't know. It's stuck in my head. But
look, it's the word of this decade.
I guess so. Can I ask you, Brad, if you can put yourself outside of kind of your busy schedule right now with the court stuff? You've booked a lot of shows. You've managed a lot of appointments. You've done this for your whole career, right? Kind of like putting together a schedule for seeing shows and stuff. How you feeling? Again, I'm going to use it here. Sorry, I don't have a better word right now. How's the vibe of putting together this year's show? We got
vibe check.
Yeah. I don't know if I want to say too specifically because like another invite came in as we were starting this, like literally as we were sitting down to record this, another appointment invite came in. So I can't say 100% for sure yet, but
let me say the reason I'm asking is I feel like
I can tell you a couple things I've seen publicly, which is I've seen more than one or two freelancers out there on Blue Sky saying that they kind of lost their assignment.
Oh, like you're not going
to cover things. Yeah. Like, I don't know if that's budget constraint. I don't know if that's budgets getting tightened or appointments getting canceled or what, but like that's anecdotal. It's
right.
2-3 people I've seen saying that, but
I guess, the reason I'm asking aside from, what's going to come out of the show and just the game interest side of somebody who enjoys playing video games, industry is in a recovering place from a lot of things. We had COVID production. We had a massive and ongoing series of layoffs happen. I'm wondering what the showpiece stuff is, right, going into it. And usually, I don't know how much stuff you could say, but that's a lot of who's ready to show stuff, who's ready to put out a slate for games that are coming next year and years forward. So
yeah, I think I was just checking a day or two ago. I don't think Sony has announced any kind of actual stream yet, like in the E3, like when they would normally have their big it's not a state of play. What is their other term? They have a name for their what would go in the E3 slot. I don't think they have announced anything of that nature yet. And
Nintendo generally is doing their own thing.
I didn't touch on that in that games business story. One of the media people they talked to who was upset about not getting Switch hardware ahead of time. Part of the problem with that is Switch 2 launch day is the day most people are flying to Summer Game Fest.
Yeah.
So there's like there are real logistical concerns about like if you're sending us review hardware on launch day, I might be on an airplane to Los Angeles. I might not actually physically be able to get that.
That is not an invitation for people to go stalk the doorsteps.
No, but it's just but I mean to your question though, like Nintendo's launching a console basically as that thing is starting. So like if anything, like they're extra not going to be. I mean, they wouldn't be involved anyway. Really, they always do their own thing.
And then Microsoft still no word if they're doing their own thing as well.
Yeah, so they do have a stream announced for just like last year on the Sunday of the thing.
Okay,
it's on Sunday morning.
Sunday,
yeah, Sunday.
Okay,
but they already announced like they just dropped that Oblivion thing out of nowhere. Like the Gears thing is already announced.
Yeah,
so I don't know what they'll have for that.
Outer Worlds.
Yeah, so they're actually that's how they're pitching this is Xbox Games Showcase followed by the Outer Worlds 2 Direct. So
followed by
they're going to be like getting deeper into Outer Worlds 2 after that main stream. So I don't know what they'll have for that.
Well, we'll see what happens as time marches on. Summer Games Fest, 2 weeks?
2.5. Yeah,
2.5.
Yep.
That's still 2.5. A lot can happen in 2.5 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope so. I mean, it's like appointment schedule maybe a little less robust than last year, it feels like. But again, I'm still like, people are still reaching out, so I can't say for sure what will and will not happen.
We got any emails, Brad?
Yeah. Pull a couple here.
What's in the hopper?
Let me switch to this other inbox real quick.
What do the folks want to know?
I had one here about you.
About me?
From TJ.
Oh, great.
Then he said recently he has a small set of rules, one of which is not to touch his CapEx.
this is from old Giant Bomb days.
Yes. What are the other rules?
Oh, geez. Okay. There were very few of them. One was don't touch the CapEx because I like spending my money on the CapEx. The other one is Jeff Gerstmann could never be my boss because I can't run I can't have the person who's running editorial manage me as the head of production, because to make things go efficiently, I can't be able to say we need to do this and then have that person be my boss and say no, we can't do this stuff. Those were definitely the two big ones from Giant Bomb that I felt like, okay, if I go into work and I can run a stream with fun gear and I can manage a schedule without worry that I'm going to get in trouble or I'm going to make, I'm going to cross lines with editorial or something like that. Then that was more early on, back when there was a production editorial split, but that just kind of went on and it just kind of worked out well. That, as you can imagine, not everybody always wants to sit down on time. And then this isn't just a Jeff thing. This is mostly just everybody, and have somebody tell them like, no, you need to be here at this time. And then to have to worry about somebody being like, well, then you're not going to get, this didn't happen. But my fear in my head was always going to be like, there's going to be repercussions if you're not totally nice. That was my fear as a production person. Look, I had a big chip on my shoulder about, the role that production people played in the games media stuff. I feel like they got shit on quite a bit.
I think that's probably fair.
I'm trying to think. Did you guys have any like riders in your thing? It wasn't like an official rider.
No.
It was just one of the things I would always tell many of my bosses. It was like, here's my two things. Production and editorial need to be separate and not the same level. Also, don't take away the ability to spend money on gear. The gear one was a big one because I just like toys.
Yeah.
And like hardware.
Oh, fair. Yeah.
Yeah. And eventually the business case became, okay, look, you're not going to give us people, so we need to supplement that with technology. I need to figure out how I need to be able to switch a stream from sitting in the studio. How do we do that with technology? I need remote control cameras, right? Because we don't have people standing behind cameras. So it was always a case of the CapEx versus the OpEx, and I could make that business case of, you're actually saving money, right? You give me, I forget what our CapEx was, because it was split with GameSpot and the Games Group at some point, but I want to say it fluctuated from somewhere between, we spent what we needed. We did not wind up in one of those situations where if you don't use it, you lose it that often, because it would get absorbed.
Do you remember? Were you there for that? Do you remember the TV incident?
TVs,
at GameSpot? Do you remember everybody's getting a new Bravia because my boss came to me on a Friday evening, like an hour before I was going to leave.
Yeah.
Basically going like, we've got like $10,000 or $15,000 we need to spend. Right? I can't remember if that was the number, but it
was a high number. I remember that.
It was like, okay, we have realized there is a massive windfall in the budget we didn't know about or didn't expect. And if it doesn't get spent before Monday, we are losing this money. So what can we buy? And I went and started looking up. This was like early 360 era, I think.
Yeah.
And I went and just like, okay, what if everybody in here just got a nice TV for these new HD consoles that have just come out? And basically was like, okay, this Bravia's got good reviews. What about this? And so everybody got new Bravias, because otherwise that money would not have gotten spent.
Again, for your desk. No, this is not like
home.
These are not work at home.
Those were desk TVs. That was here's your TV at your desk to play games on at work.
What did we have before that? Because we had TVs.
When I got there, they were still CRTs.
Yeah.
We had like, I think they were 13. No, they had to be bigger than 13 inch. Maybe 19
they were like 20 something inches. I think.
I don't think they were that big. That's a big CRT. Like they were relatively modest CRTs. And then did we get crappier flat panels before the Bravias? I don't remember.
all I remember is the Bravias, and maybe it's just because we had those for longer than we didn't. But I know I had a TV on my desk when I started there because I was reviewing games, but I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, I think we might have had a small number of Samsung LCDs in the office because Samsung had that deal with Microsoft for the 360 launch, or there was some co-marketing business going on there. But then it was just like, hey, TVs for everybody because this money's got to get spent like right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like my understanding of it, having done the budget stuff, is like usually they will allocate the year before how much money needs to be spent in a certain bucket, right? And then if you wind up at the end of the year having not spent that, they will basically say, well, you spent this in 2024, so now you only spent this in 2024, so we're going to lower it to this thing, right? But if you're like, I spent the whole thing, then they're like, okay, then we'll reallocate that for 2026, right? So, it comes down to like, oh, I guess you didn't need all of that money then, right? Like, I guess you really didn't need it. But the way it worked kind of later on, once Giant Bomb and GameSpot were back together, was somebody else would just absorb it, right? It was a little more needs based. Got another email, Brad?
Sure. Question from Adam.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
About the A minor E sting in front of quick licks.
They do those again now, apparently.
Vinny, is that you playing the chord for the quick lick stinger? If not, do you know who it is?
Yeah.
I just think it's cool and I'm happy to hear it again.
Yeah.
That was you?
Me.
Wait, are they using it?
I don't know.
I don't know if they're using it now, but they are doing quick licks again. I know that.
There was a guitar in the basement in Sausalito, right? Like
Dave's guitar.
Was that Dave's?
I think it was Dave's. I think he built that guitar. I don't know if that's the one I wound up using for that.
Oh, okay.
I mean, what's the more iconic Sting? That chord or the Windows 95 boot up sound? Are you the Brian Eno of Giant Bomb?
I've got a statement I'd like to make.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you are. Vinny Caravella's Music for Airports coming soon.
I think it's just an A minor. I don't know if it's A minor or E minor.
Oh, is it like you play? Is it one of those like you play part of the strings and then you play the full?
I think it could just be a strum on. You just hear the E.
Well, there's two. There's definitely it's definitely a dun dun. But I don't know if that's just playing.
I thought it's I'd have to listen to it again. It's been a while.
I remember like 3 distinct notes in there. Whether they are all the same notes or just parts of I don't know. But I feel like I hear da da dun.
The third thing is like some kind of synth. There's like some kind of little trailing tone.
Yeah. That's when the logo expands out. Do you remember when we recorded Ryan Davis
video review
over on each one?
Video thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yes.
That was the idea. Is just have one underneath. The one thing I wanted for that was it needs to just be very short. I don't want a big long logo build before the video.
You were dead right about that.
Had to be like, I think my going thing was 3 seconds or fewer. Like it just had to be extremely short, and that's why I was just to get in there. I didn't want the as much as I think they're cool. They're like
it's just tedious to an audience after a certain point.
Right. Yes. All right. Any more questions? It's all good. It's all going to be in my book.
Yeah.
Don't worry. Vinny's rules. Vinny rules.
Yes. This is not a question, but from KR.
Okay.
Talking about that Black Mirror Bandersnatch interactive episode that got pulled down off of Netflix. Would you believe it's already happened? Referring to my question about if somebody's going to be able to preserve that thing or not.
Mm-hmm.
And they literally include a link to a GitHub repo.
Oh.
GitHub.com/Joric, JORIC /Bandersnatch. Somebody has re-implemented that entire thing in HTML5, and you can just play that thing in your web browser now.
Fucking sick.
I'm guessing you have to probably supply the video yourself.
That's what I was going to say.
I would assume.
Like, go find your own version, make it an MKV or whatever you need to. And then,
characteristic of many small random GitHub projects, there's not a lot of documentation here.
Okay.
In fact, I don't see anything about the video. Yeah, the repo is just a README and an HTML file, so you definitely have to supply the video yourself somehow.
Can you look in the HTML file and find the reference to the what they call? Is it like brackets insert video name here?
Maybe. Let me see.
Or something like that.
I have not looked at the code at all.
Okay. That's funny. Yep. Of course somebody did it.
Good.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, and that's going to do it for the emails. Unless there are any more emails in there.
You got to let them age like a
Like a nice cheese.
Like a fine cell processor.
There you go. There you go. Ask me anything more about the rule. I want to hear other people's like breaks for their jobs. I want to hear their things.
Or hey, I was ready to hear some of your food rules or something.
Oh no, my things were they were just important for me to try. As you guys know, you got to try and stay positive, right? You got to look at the positive when you're in those kinds of big environments like that. You break the rule, fools break the rules. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm always saying that.
I made that up. That's my third rule. That's going to do it for the emails. That's going to do it for the show, but that's not going to do it for the Nextlander content train. Folks, we got a bunch of stuff going on here. We have Vinny and Will. That's me. I'm Vinny. We played a bunch of Revenge of the Savage Planet. We wrapped up on Monday. I called it the finale. I think we've run our course with Revenge of the Savage Planet. I feel pretty satisfied.
Like you're close to the end of it, or you're just like you've gotten okay? Because I was going to say that's only like 6-ish hours, right? I don't know how long the game actually is.
Yeah. No, like it's a 3-part series. I think there's something about doing a 3-parter, or you're just going in all the way, right?
Yeah.
Like then it's an indefinite land. He was saying he really wants to get back into Void Crew. So
yes, I would like to play some of that.
Yeah, I think there might have been more updates, and you mentioned the Helldiver stuff before. So the hope is at some point post this jury stuff, we're probably not going to be streaming on Monday, but after that and the SGS stuff, we'll be back. We'll be back with some more stuff. We've got on Tuesday, Abby joined us and we jumped into the Sunderfolk stuff. We mentioned that before at the top. That game was pretty cool. You should check out that stream if you're curious about what that looks like. And then we'll be back, Alex and I, on Friday with some more grab baggy stuff.
Yep.
And that's what's going on for the rest of the week here. Not to mention the Watchcast continues. Yes. We had Frank. And we had Frank discussions about Frank.
Mm-hmm.
Man,
Frank talk.
Frank.
What a weird movie.
The movie Frank. As part of our movie month. Yes, we are continuing. As part of our music movie month.
Yes. As
we continue down that path, we have one more, and then it's going to be Star Trek season.
Mm-hmm.
Going to be.
You guys ready?
I'm so ready.
That's soon.
It's soon.
If you haven't checked out the Watchcast, may I implore you to go check out the Watchcast. We if you listen to the Ramblecast this week, Alex and I basically talked about the near 100 movies we have watched.
97 when we wrap next week.
Yeah, and I can't express to you, Alex, I can try and express it, but I'll fall short.
Express away.
One, it is a great vehicle for me to be exposed to movies I would just never watch. Like it's like
literally
awesome
what I wanted from the outset.
Yeah.
It's also just like gotten me into the habit of watching things more. Like I actually watch things on my own now, which I didn't really do that much of for a long time.
And two, well, actually, I guess I have 3 things. 2, discussing them really fleshes out some of the thoughts from a movie versus just watching it and then leaving it there. Like having a structured discussion with it.
Yeah.
I think really adds a lot because I miss things in movies and, people have different takes on stuff. Really interesting. But 3, your love and passion for the editing of that thing is great. So that is my internal pitch to you to keep going with the Watchcast. And my external pitch is go check out the Watchcast.
Okay, yeah. I think I'll keep it going.
Okay, great. Well, Alex, we couldn't do this stuff without the support of our patrons.
I've heard this.
Yeah. They keep us going. They support us. They support our guests that we have on. Wow, support may be a strong word, but allow us to compensate our guests when they come through, and we really appreciate that. We have a Patreon. It is patreon.com/Nextlander. Now, a lot of our stuff goes up. Look, you get 3 streams a week. You get at least 3 podcasts a week.
Yeah, minimum.
At least.
And then there's the Patreon stuff, which you can get even more. Planorama, never been a better podcast. Early access to the Watchcast, video Ramblecast, the Ramblecast. All of these things are over at patreon.com/Nextlander. There's a lot of content out there that's for free, and we appreciate if you can support us out there, but there's also a lot more content that's over on the Patreon, and we really appreciate anyone who can go over there, patreon.com/Nextlander, and support us financially.
Yes.
There.
And thank you guys for keeping the content going while I have not been here.
Oh, my pleasure. And again, thanks to the patrons again for allowing us to compensate people who have come through like
yes. I mean, that helps tremendously when one of us has to be out for some reason.
Yeah, of course. Yes. So patreon.com/Nextlander, a bunch of different tiers there, whatever fits your budget and you're willing or able to do. We appreciate it. There is one tier there, though, that gets their names read on this here show, and that's the Mysterious Benefactor tier. And I'm going to read those names for you right now, starting with Sean Miller. Zach regrets saying he'd platinum every Borderlands game. RRE, Alpha Rhythm, Infelicitous Rips, David L, Kelly F, Horizon Light, Lighting Control Solutions, Skywarp, Jason Grimm, John Hubbard, NXL Retirement Fund, Evan Cook, Mark Wilhelm, Jerry Lee, Deidre's Final Fantasy XIV Static is Recruiting, Gary Pejke, Robert Fisher, Bunny Meme, Jad Rita, Statics, Brian Murphy, Randy Duax, Randy Alderson, Andrew Tiepkin, Alex Wu, It's Me JP, Edward Chick, Andrew Slosky, Steve Lynn, Matthew Herrig, David Campos, and Tyler Treese. Those are our Mysterious Benefactors for this week. Thanks again to everybody for supporting us. And thanks to everyone for tuning in for another episode of this Nextlander podcast.
I echo your thanks.
Same.
Wow. Great. Because they are sincere. And, my rule is for Nextlander, support the things you love and you want to see keep going. That's,
whether it's us, whether it's Giant Bomb, whether it's any of the independent creators out there.
Yeah. And especially us.
And especially us for personal reasons. I don't think anyone will blame you for that one, Vinny. I think there's a certain amount of self-interest is totally acceptable.
Have we told you about how great we are?
We are fantastic. And
I'm pretty good.
And I just say health insurance is pretty expensive.
Yeah.
Yes, there's also that.
I'd like to stay pretty good.
I didn't come out to say it because first of all, I'm like a terrible self-promoter. Just awful at it. But I really think the Watchcast has been pretty good for a while. I feel really good about what we're doing on there. As
great.
I am the furthest thing from a professional movie critic, but I feel like
everybody's talking about it.
I felt good about the discussions that we've had on there in a way that has been very gratifying. Also, I don't know if I should bring this up, but this might be the Watchcast first. We have come to learn that one of the subjects of a thing we watched or somebody that was involved in one of the things we watched listened to the podcast.
Yes.
And seemed to like it.
Yes. You name who it is?
Steve Williams of Jurassic Punk.
Yes. The primary subject of that documentary.
Appears to have listened to our podcast about the documentary he was the subject of.
And had not unkind things to say.
And had relatively kind things to say about it.
Which is I'll just say is an honor.
Yeah,
warmed the cockles of my heart.
Yeah, it was very flattering.
So thanks everybody. Thanks for being an awesome community. Thanks for helping us out. Thank you, Alex Navarro.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brad Shoemaker. May your deliberations be quick and painless.
Swift. We're getting there. I swear to God, the end is in sight.
And thanks everybody for tuning in. Again, we'll be back doing something for Summer Games Fest, at least the opening night stuff we should be doing. Brad, you hopefully will be safely in LA in person. Alex and I will be holding it down here. Our plan is to do the opening night stuff, and then we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah.
TBD for the rest of it. So tune in for that. Thanks again, everybody, and we'll be back next week.